That's Mom. It's her going into the house.
She walks in. That was it.
A mom is missing. This beautiful blonde, very young and vivacious woman.
Everybody was starting to reach out, and like nobody had heard from her.
I've tried to message her, I've tried to call her on Messenger.
Police had to look at those facts and say she could just be off the grid right now.
We don't have a crime scene. We don't have an obvious crime.
There's no body, there's no murder weapon.
Right here, right here.
Yeah.
It's gonna look like he's dragging something. What the hell did we just watch?
Billings, Montana, 2018. The fiercely independent city on the edge of the Rocky Mountains is in the middle of an economic boom. It's here that 49-year-old Laura Johnson has come to experience her own independence after years of raising her children.
Yep. Yeah, that's probably the best picture of my mom. All I know is my mom got some 80s hair going on, and my dad actually has a full set of hair. Seeing all of us as an actual family, holy smokes.
Laura grew up in Vancouver, Washington, and met her future husband, Howard, there when she was 18.
By the time my mom was 23, she had 5 boys. She loved the fact that she was a mother. She always told us, I would never regret having all of you kids. She was extremely loving, and she was amazingly funny as well, and she gets that from her dad, who's just a jokester at every turn.
She was a wonderful mom, always helped with everything, always treated everybody like their family.
My dad worked the regular 9 to 5. Mom stayed at home, raised the kids. She was very nurturing.
She did everything. Every night she'd cook dinner. And for the amount of people that we had, I felt like it was a lot, but she made it look always easy, so.
She always made it a deal to have a good meal. Big old feast. My entire career has been in food service, and that's mostly due to the fact that I grew up cooking in the kitchen with my mom.
But in 2012, their children grown and out of the house, Laura and her husband Howard separate, and Laura moves to the Las Vegas, Nevada area.
I definitely think she wanted to find her own sense of happiness. You know, a woman in her 40s, having that for the first time, that's gotta be empowering, you know what I mean? So, she did tell me that she had joined a dating app.
And it isn't long before Laura meets someone she really likes. His name is Greg Green.
Greg was one of the people who she was matched with. He worked in Vegas right there. They went out on a couple of dates, and then it went to the point where she was living with him in Nevada.
Although she now lives 1,000 miles away from her family in Vancouver, Washington, Laura keeps in regular touch with her sons.
My mom was never really good about keeping a cell phone. So our main points of communication were Facebook.
She was consistently on Facebook. Like, you can click on Messenger and her little thing would be green.
In July of 2018, Greg Green gets a job in Billings, Montana. Laura follows him there in August, and soon after, she lands a job at a Papa John's restaurant. After her first day at work, Laura calls her son, Stephen.
I remember the last time that I talked to her on the phone was when she was driving home. It was literally just, you know, talk to each other, see how life's going, have some laughs. But it's not until you look back, you wish you did more with your time, you know?
On September 18th, 2018, Laura's sons become concerned that she's stopped communicating with them.
My older brother, Howard Jr., he spoke to my mom every day. He called me and said, hey, have you guys heard from Mom? And I haven't heard from her. I looked on Facebook. It said that she hadn't been active for a couple days. So then I called Steven. I was like, hey, have you talked to Mom?
Jonathan called me on the 18th. The fact that Jonathan had even called me in the first place was a huge red flag. Because if there was a way to get a hold of her, he totally could have, you know what I mean? But now he's at the point to where he's like, I need help. I called my mom, and every time the phone was straight to voicemail. I've tried to message her, I've tried to call her on Messenger, I've tried to call her job, and the job is just like, yeah, she hasn't shown up for work since September 13th. Like all of this, and I'm coming up with nothing.
Nobody had heard from her.
I called Greg, he picked up. He says, came home from work on the 13th, and she was gone, all of her stuff's gone, all of it. I don't know anything. He doesn't know where she is.
September 24th, 2018. Laura's sons have been trying to reach her for 6 days.
So then I started calling the police department out there.
We asked the Billings, Montana Police Department to do welfare checks.
Officers went to Miss Johnson's residence to attempt to make contact and speak with her. The gate was locked. There was 2 large dogs in the yard. They weren't friendly. The house was quiet, and they weren't able to make any contact. Officers went to Miss Johnson's work and was advised that her last day of work was on the 13th, and she had not been to work since then.
Detectives tracked down her boyfriend, Greg.
When officers spoke with Gregory, he told them that on the 13th he had gone to work. And when he returned that day, he found that she was gone and she had packed her 2 red suitcases that she had brought with her and had left. The majority of people that contact police departments looking for their loved ones or wanting welfare checks done, those people are found eventually. You know, maybe they did go on a vacation and they didn't tell somebody. I think a lot of people, with the fast-paced life that we have, people want to take a break, they want to disconnect from life, and that can be something you have to take into consideration when looking for people.
What the law enforcement officers told me was, you are telling us that she's missing. We're not saying wrong, but we don't have enough information to say that you're right. The fact that it was a grown woman, people believe that if they aren't being found, it's because they don't want to be found. And anybody who knows my mom in this situation know that that's fundamentally not true. So the sense of like, something's happened became very real.
It's been 13 days since anyone has had any contact with Laura, and her family is getting anxious.
I posted a picture of my mom, and he said, we have not heard from my mom. And just to explain the situation, a lot of people commented on there.
The post was getting a ton of shares. I thought that the whole thing was just strange. The fact that, you know, her sons haven't heard from her, we don't know where she is, she hasn't showed up to her job yet, she's not responding to text messages. The first thing that I do when I see something like that is I do reach out to law enforcement.
September 27th of 2018, I did receive a call from one of the local reporters regarding a Facebook post involving Laura Johnson. So the next thing I did after I got off the phone was started to research the case. While we haven't reached the level that there was a crime committed, things were starting to fall in place that not everything was right.
Investigators find baffling clues in Laura's disappearance.
There was a recent phone ping from Washington that showed that the phone had been there on September 26th.
And learn of a troubling past.
She had a prior addiction, and she could just be off the grid right now.
I'm not just gonna sit here. So the next logical step was to go to Montana.
September 27th, 2018. Laura Johnson's family has not heard from her in 2 weeks. Her boyfriend, Greg Green, tells police he hasn't seen her since September 13th, which was also the last day she was at work.
At this point, it's still unknown where she's at, unknown if there's foul play involved. We just had not gotten any information conclusive one way or the other.
Police ask Laura's son, Stephen, if there is anything going on in her life they should know about. Stephen tells them that years before, she was injured and that she became addicted to prescription painkillers. But at the time of her disappearance, she was getting treatment and doing well.
There was a feeling that potentially she may have relapsed due to her addiction.
Police had to look at those facts and say, well, she does have a history of use. She had a prior addiction, and she could just be off the grid right now.
Detectives reach out to the clinic where Laura has been going for treatment.
The clinic advised me that she had been there every single day for 3 weeks prior to the 13th.
If Laura has relapsed, detectives know she could be in hiding somewhere. They go back to Greg Green, hoping he can help focus the search. But he doesn't have anything to add to his previous statement that Laura had moved out on September 13th, and he hasn't seen her since.
He was quite cooperative. He consented to a search of his home. Officers didn't locate any items that they thought were suspicious at that time. And Gregory had allowed them to look through his phone, which he showed them some messages that he had sent to Laura after she had left.
We don't have an obvious crime. We just know that she's been missing.
Investigators subpoena Laura's phone records, and when the data comes in, there's a glimmer of hope that Laura is alive and well.
There was a recent phone ping from Washington that showed that the phone had been there on September 26th.
Detectives wonder if Laura went back to her hometown of Vancouver, Washington, where her sons and ex-husband live.
From an investigative standpoint, it made sense because that's where some of her support network would be.
Sergeant Billings called and said, I got some great news for you. I was like, oh, she did show up in town. I got excited.
Laura's sons immediately start searching all over Vancouver for her.
Me and my wife drove around for 2 hours to every business that was open, showing pictures of my mom, asking if anybody had seen her. So I was like, if she's in town, she's obviously would be at one of the hotels for sure. None of the hotels are like, nope, haven't seen her, haven't seen her. Nobody's seen her. Not a single person.
Laura's sons are disappointed that there is no sign of her. Then they get disturbing news. The investigators made a mistake when tracking Laura's phone.
When they pinged my mom's phone, they pinged the last incoming call, and it was my dad. And it was on his birthday, because he spoke to my mom every year on his birthday. He knew everything that was going on, and he's like, well, it's my birthday, so hopefully she answers.
Laura never answered that call, and detectives realized that she was never in Vancouver. been 18 days since Laura Johnson disappeared, and her son Stephen decides he has to take action.
And being all the way in Washington and realizing that I wasn't gonna get an answer, that was the next logical step, was to go to Montana. I was like, I'm not just gonna sit here.
I couldn't let him go alone.
They said to themselves, we're gonna just get in the car and we're gonna drive 14 hours over to Billings and we're just gonna go look for her ourselves.
So the first place that we went was the police station. And what they tell us is, as long as I didn't break the law, I could do anything. I had inclinations about who the person Greg was, and none of that ever sat right with me.
Stephen calls Greg, looking for more details about the last time he saw his mother.
He picked up, it was him. You know, who are you? What is this? Hangs up the phone. So I went to his house. I was yelling my mom's name. I'm yelling Laura. I'm yelling Mom. I think that she's in there. And then that's when he lets the dogs out. So I go up to the dogs and they're loud, but they're not dangerous at all. So I just bent down and started petting the dog, you know. And that's when he came out of the trailer and lights a cigarette and he's, you know, can I help you? And I tell him, I was like, I'm Stephen Johnson. Like, Laura's my mother. I believe you know where she is and I would like you to tell me. And he's like, no, I came home and she was gone. He's very cocky. And he's just standing there smoking his cigarette. As I told him, I believe you know where my mother is. I will be the one to put you behind bars and I'll be the end of you. So he tells me to leave and he calls the cops on me.
October 1st, 2018. Stephen Johnson has driven from his home in Vancouver, Washington to Billings, Montana to try to find his missing mother, Laura. After a disturbing encounter with Laura's boyfriend, Greg Green, Stephen's next step is to create flyers and post them all over Billings.
When we went anywhere, we handed these out. So we went to Greg's work and we put them all over his window at work. And then he tore them all off.
We were like texting, we're like, all right, has anybody heard? Anybody heard? Like, we want to know, like, what's going on?
We woke up 8 o'clock every single morning with a place to go to, an idea in mind, with somebody to talk to just try to find something. So at the end of every day, I'm calling my brothers, telling them, here's what we did. Here's who we talked to.
It was very frustrating because this is like what you see on TV. I never thought in my life I would ever go through it.
One of the hardest things for me was dealing with the frustrations with the family, understanding their concerns, understanding their desire to have, you know, swift justice.
We can't just go to Mr. Green's residence and knock the door in and do a search without a warrant. We've got proper legal procedure. And at that time, we were lacking enough information to use the search warrant process in order to further develop Ms. Johnson's case.
It was frustrating not being able to get a real reaction. So it just felt like our duty to prove it.
We've talked to everybody who we can. We've been to the doctor's office. We've been to the Salvation Army. Everything comes up empty. We had gone through every single dead end. We had been through all of Greg's neighbors with no answer, with no solution. We were nowhere closer on day 5 than we were on day 1. And the last thing before we leave town that we figure we can do is go knock on the neighbors' houses again.
As they are knocking on the door of the neighbor across the street from Greg, Stephen sees something he hadn't noticed before.
I basically stopped and I said, hey, I think we found something. There is a camera at the one place that we're interested in.
It points right at the driveway of where Greg and Laura lived.
Stephen and Casey had talked to the owner a few days before. Now, they ring his doorbell again, hoping to get access to the footage.
And the first thing he says is, do you want to see? And I said, what are you talking about? And he goes, I have my camera footage pulled up because you were asking me about your mom. He invites me in, and for the next like 35 minutes, I'm just on his floor looking at a bunch of video. So the first thing we pull up is September 13th, the last day she went to work. And then Casey's recording it on her phone. You could speed it up. So we're going through. So we're watching the camera footage. And then this is where it gets very interesting. It's him, right here.
Keep playing.
What happens is Greg gets home first. Greg gets home and parks his truck and goes inside. And 35 minutes later, right here. Oh! My mom gets home. Right there. So that's mom.
Blonde hair.
It is 7:07 on September 13th.
God looks excited
That's
to
her.
see her.
It's her going into the house. We were told time and time again that Greg's story is, I came home and she was gone. I came home and she was gone. She had taken all of her stuff and it was gone. So we got him. He was lying. But, well, where is she? So we're watching the footage. Day turns to night.
What time is it?
Right now,
11:27? 10:27?
10:27.
There he is. The headlamp?
Headlamp on. We see Greg throughout the entire night. Right here, right here.
Yeah.
It's gonna look like he's dragging something back. Just moving, going back and forth between the house.
That's when we call the detectives, like, you need to come see this.
Stephen Johnson has discovered home security footage of his missing mother, Laura. It shows her at the house she shared with Greg Green after the time Greg told police she had left. Realizing the importance of the discovery, he calls the police.
Approximately 11:15 that night, I go to that neighbor's house and we watch the footage in question. We then start viewing the video in greater detail. And it was definitely very concerning.
The detective's trained eye spots something that Stephen and Casey missed.
The footage shows the area of the driveway where Laura Johnson is observed coming home that evening, and she's exiting the vehicle and walking toward the trailer. Gregory, he's also seen going back into the garage and coming out with 2 red-colored suitcases in that vehicle as well.
The same 2 red suitcases that Greg told officers that Laura had taken with her when she moved out. And then, the detective sees something that changes the investigation from a missing persons case to something much more disturbing.
And you can see him walking out with that large, heavy object. That's zoomed in to show that area of the vehicle where he puts what we believe is Laura's body into the vehicle. And then ultimately, he's observed putting a shovel in the back of the pickup bed before he leaves that evening just after 7 p.m. We believe that more than likely that is her body, but we need a lot more evidence to prove that at this point. That was kind of a gut-wrenching feeling to know that you just observed somebody's last moments.
What the hell did we just watch? The only logical answer is, Greg ended my mother's life that night. And finally dawns on me, after all of this, that I'll probably never get to see my mom again. Is that I'll never get another goodbye. I'll never get that closure. I'll never get the last I love you. I'll never get any of it. It's just gone.
But unless police can prove that it is Laura's body on the video, they don't have a crime. On October 5th, 3 weeks since Laura was last seen, Billings police asked Greg to come into the station for questioning.
Gregory told us what he had initially told officers. He told us that on the 13th, when he got home that evening, she was gone and her 2 red suitcases were gone.
In that video, it shows Greg pulling those suitcases out of the house and packing them up in his truck.
He seemed very surprised when we told him that there was video, and then he decided that he didn't want to talk to us anymore. We informed him that he was not going to be allowed to go back to his home. We believed that that was a crime scene at this point. The vehicle he drove to the police department was impounded at that point.
We have now crossed into full-on criminal investigation. We do believe a crime has committed.
We had probable cause at that point to seek a search warrant for his residence. But we didn't have enough information to that point to make an arrest. We executed that search warrant that evening and began to process the trailer where Gregory and Laura lived. One of the first things that we noted was the strong odor of new carpet smell. In the back room of Gregory's home, it was obvious that the carpet had been replaced very recently, and that was suspicious to us.
But because police find no proof that Laura is dead, they have to release Greg.
At this point, we still don't have a body. We still haven't located Miss Johnson. There was not enough to arrest Mr. Green for the disappearance of Miss Johnson.
It's a crushing blow to the family.
After them basically telling him, hey, we know you're lying, they let him go.
The entire family was really upset because you have all this video, but you don't arrest him. Why?
There's a lot of frustration, but I would say it was mainly based around this guy did all of this and we could just see right through him.
We work closely with the county attorney's office and trying to determine, what more we need to get to that point to make an arrest. I had to remain focused on what needed to be done to build a case against him.
While the forensics team examines Greg's seized work truck, detectives have a strategy to keep an eye on Greg.
One of the last things we did when we searched the residence is we placed a tracker on his vehicle. We believe that he did more than likely take Laura's body to some location to bury her. We placed the tracker on with the hope of he might go back out to the location.
The tracker is placed on Greg's personal car, the same one that Laura is seen driving on surveillance video on September 13th. On October 5th, hours after his interview with detectives, Greg Green starts to move.
And at approximately 10 p.m. that evening, his vehicle started to move towards the interstate, heading west outside of Billings. So we began to follow him. He drove straight through the night, and we realized that he was leaving the state.
October 5th, 2018. Greg Green is the prime suspect in the presumed murder of Laura Johnson. Lacking evidence of a crime, detectives have to let Greg walk free. But they have placed a tracker on his car, and he appears to be leaving Billings, Montana in a hurry.
His vehicle started to move towards the interstate and heading west outside of Billings.
Detectives track Greg as he drives for 16 hours across 5 states to his old hometown in Henderson, Nevada.
If you're being interviewed by police about the whereabouts of your ex-girlfriend and you just hightail it out of town, it's not a good look.
We were coordinating with law enforcement where he was at. They knew that we were tracking him. They would do drive-bys, make sure that we knew his whereabouts.
Meanwhile, Billings police continue the search for evidence to arrest Greg. Using his cell phone data, they track Greg's movements during the night of September 13th, which leads them to the local Walmart.
We were able to locate footage of him going to Walmart that evening. And when he went through the self-checkout, we did see a very distinct abrasion on his face, which we thought was very suspicious at that point.
Then, another crucial piece of evidence emerges from the forensic search of Greg's impounded work truck.
I noticed that the vehicle was very clean. It had been washed recently. So after 2 days processing that vehicle for biological material, taking swabs from various locations on the seat, we found 3 very, very small 1 to 2 millimeter stains that appeared to be blood.
That evidence came back from the crime lab, and sure enough, it was Laura's blood.
The totality of all of the evidence that we had located, including the blood on the door of that truck, and together with video footage showing him carrying out what we believed was Laura's body, at that point there was enough evidence to arrest him.
Hey, Greg. I remember you. You remember us? All right. So you know why we're here? I imagine so, yes. Okay. So, something changed or something like this, or? Well, we have a warrant for your arrest for murder homicide, so that's what's changed. That's why you're here in handcuffs. Okay. And you'll be extradited back to Billings. Huh. For deliberate homicide. Deliberate homicide. Deliberate homicide. Do you want to tell us what happened with her when she came home that night
And what you did with her, that's your decision. I'm not going to press you. That's what I want to know.
I did everything that I know already.
Okay, well, we both know that's not true. So if you don't want to talk to me, we'll end that there. Okay.
After being held for 7 months in a Nevada jail, Greg is extradited to Billings. More than a year later, in February 2020, his trial is set to begin. But without Laura Johnson's body, a conviction is far from a sure thing.
We had a theory of what we believed happened, but we just didn't have a body. This is the very first case that I've ever had that involves a no-body homicide arrest. When you're trying to convict somebody of deliberate homicide and you don't have a body to go along with that, it can be very stressful.
What is your evidence? Can you really make it stick?
Drugs, surveillance video, and murder. Testimony begins in the trial of a Billings man accused of killing Laura Johnson.
We sat right behind him the entire time. I was not happy at all.
He was not taking anything seriously. I don't know if he was just in disbelief, like this is really happening, so he just kind of like went numb to it.
He maintained his innocence the entire time, even though there was video being played in the courtroom of him carrying what appeared to be Laura's body out of his house.
The evidence in this case will show you that the defendant took great lengths to cover up his murder of his girlfriend, Laura.
Prosecutors present jurors with a possible motive for the brutal murder. Laura was about to permanently end her rocky relationship with Greg.
One of the things we did learn from the trial was she had moved into a separate bedroom and she was saving money to try to leave.
He acted like he was at home sitting on his couch. And yeah, he didn't care whatsoever. He thought he was like at home watching Netflix or something.
He knew exactly where the cameras were from news media. There was a moment where he turned around, looked into the lens of our camera, and gave a little smile.
Greg's behavior at the trial only adds to the heartbreak felt by Laura's family.
That if this situation didn't happen, like I could have had my mom back. She would have been living in my town. She would have been. She would have been here. It's not fair.
How will this trial pan out without evidence of Laura Johnson's body?
This case has had so many unanswered questions. It's had so much heartache with it. And there's no body, there's no murder weapon, there's no evidence that shows he actually killed her.
Two years after Laura Johnson's final moments were captured by a home security camera, a jury in Billings, Montana is set to decide whether her boyfriend, Greg Green, is guilty of murder.
This trial lasted, 2 weeks? Monday through Friday, 8 hours a day. Didn't leave that city hall building for 2 weeks, basically.
That footage was the critical piece in the investigation and in the trial. It was a piece of evidence that the jury actually got to take back with them to deliberations, to view.
You can't escape the silent witness. You can't escape that video surveillance.
Any person with common sense to see all the evidence, and especially the video, would know he was guilty. I just got home the day before, and Steven called and said, hey, they have a verdict already. We're headed back.
The jury was out maybe 2 hours.
You don't know. You put 12 people in a room to make a decision and hope it's the right one.
To the charge of deliberate homicide. Guilty.
Ultimately, he was convicted of deliberate homicide. And he received a sentence of 100 years in the Montana State Prison.
In my 16-year career, this is the first case I've been involved in that went from a welfare check to a missing persons to a homicide without a body to a even prosecution of a homicide without a body.
And the fact that the contribution that we had was as impactful as it was, that's where the bittersweet part comes, you know? Had to extend ourselves that much.
Go through something you could never prepare yourself for.
Exactly.
If he didn't do that, then we would still be searching.
One of the key pivotal moments here was the persistence from family. And then Ms. Johnson's son coming to Billings and locating the surveillance footage. And I can only speculate if that video had not been located or recovered, I'm not sure where we would be now.
Today, Stephen and his brothers are focused on keeping their mother's memory alive.
My mom was a part of my life every single day. I got married last year to my beautiful wife, Casey here. We had our daughter, Eliza, and Eliza's middle name is my mother's name. So her name is Eliza Laura Johnson. Big part of how my mom was as an everyday mother is the ways that I've been able to cope with her loss. So making the meals that she made, having the family dinners, you know, bringing her into my life in those little ways to keep her alive. That's what I do. She's there every time I make dinner, you know?
The only thing I have that I can hear her voice now is April 2018. She called me, but I was at work, and she left me a voicemail to tell me happy birthday. That's the only thing I have to like hear her voice.
We still have the fact that we don't know where my mother lies to this day. That we have not been able to bring her home. We haven't had the sense of closure for peace. There's been no funeral, there's been no memorial, there's been nothing. If there's anything that anybody can tell us, if there's anything that sticks out, if there's a piece of property you own, if there's something you can do, if there's something you've seen, just, you know, to please come forward.
I'm hoping this outcome that people come forward with actual real information and it helps us find her and bring her home.
First apartment in New York City.
The online dating scene was still pretty new and fairly unregulated.
I've been single for like 5 years. I lived in Long Island forever. All of a sudden I'm in Brooklyn, I moved, and everyone's like, oh, what are you doing? Do you want to hang out? I thought you'd want to hang out. You know, it's like, no, I can't hang out. I'm in Brooklyn. You know, I moved here to find a husband.
Numerous calls come into 911 stating that someone's been struck by a vehicle on the Bell Parkway. Those last seconds of his life were seconds that he didn't deserve.
I was just shocked. Just kind of go through this point of disbelief.
It was Michael Sandy. It could have been anyone. They weren't looking for a black man. They weren't looking for a white man. They were looking for a victim.
You can feel how he must have felt when he saw these guys coming down and then running for his life.
Imagine the sheer terror that he was probably feeling.
This guy was lured to his death.
We had a rogue device on this wireless network. So the idea was, all right, well, where are they?
Kind of just feel your whole body collapse in that moment. It takes your breath away.
July 2006. Brooklyn, New York. 28-year-old Michael Sandy is on top of the world. He's just landed a job as a designer for IKEA and is finally pursuing his dreams in the big city.
This is my new apartment. This is Mike's first apartment in New York City.
And his best friend Patrick is by his side.
Mike was really excited about his first Brooklyn apartment. I mean, he was all joy. He had a laugh that could, like, carry a room.
I think it's cool.
Well, it's a wrap. We finished the bed. Made much more space out of this tiny little room. It's wonderful.
I'm glad my hair has changed.
It's rocking.
Oh my gosh. I mean, what did we look like there, right? We were just absolute best friends. Comfortable, really comfortable with each other. He was that friend that would, like, do anything for you. Loyal, sensitive, compassionate. And those people don't come around very often.
Life hasn't always been easy for Michael, growing up as a young gay black man in conservative Bellport, New York.
His struggle with being gay in Long Island was definitely a thing. Some parts of it was because he wasn't necessarily, like, out to his parents, but I think that they all had this beautiful kind of unspoken understanding.
I've known Michael Sandy since we were kids. And
Michael spoke very closely with his friends about who he wanted to make connections with, and being in a small town, a conservative town, and a conservative family, these things were kind of hard to explore.
He wanted to work in Brooklyn, live in Brooklyn, breathe Brooklyn. So I think what was very attractive to him was really that social element, and to really find a connection, to find love.
I feel like he had to make that move to survive and to express who he was and to be who he was meant to be.
Michael is now living his dream in hip Williamsburg, Brooklyn, an artsy neighborhood just a quick subway ride from Manhattan.
Michael is very agile, and he made everything he did look very easy. Okay. Yeah, that was great. But he was a very natural dancer. So that was Michael dancing in a parking garage. Actually, I was filming this. We were 1 and 2 and 3 and punch and, you know, turn and spin. So we had it all choreographed.
You know, it's tough to kind of think about the last time you see someone. But it was a good last in-person memory.
As much as he was so gregarious and outgoing, personally, he was very shy. He had never dated anyone. In 11 years of me knowing him, never had a boyfriend.
He was on the hunt to find love.
In the early fall of 2006, just a few months after moving to Brooklyn, Michael goes out with Patrick and a small group of friends. Another friend captures a lighthearted moment on video.
I've been single for like 5 years. I lived on Long Island forever. No one ever wanted to take me to dinner. No one wanted to ever go out. All of a sudden, I'm in Brooklyn. I moved, and everyone's like, "Oh, what are you doing? Do you want to hang out? I thought you want to hang out." You know, it's like, no, I can't hang out. I'm in Brooklyn. What happened 5 years ago? Right? It's insane. You know, I moved here to find a husband. Let me stop.
The last time I hung out with Michael was very close to the time that he had died.
So.
On the evening of October 8th, 2006, numerous calls come into 911 stating that someone's been struck by a vehicle on the Bell Parkway.
It's 10 p.m., and the scene is a dark section of the highway near Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn, in an area known as Plum Beach.
That car never stopped. It was a hit and run. Very serious car accident. From injuries, he's unconscious.
The victim, a young black male gravely injured but still clinging to life, is rushed to Brookdale Hospital.
We have a victim. We don't know who he is. We don't know necessarily how he got there. Now we have to figure out why this occurred.
Investigators question witnesses at the scene.
This incident occurs at night when it's dark and everyone's vision is limited. No one really has a good description of the vehicle and or the license plate.
Police search the area and soon make a crucial discovery.
They come across a vehicle that's parked in a parking lot across the highway. The car was still running.
Police recover a photo ID from the vehicle. It's an unmistakable match with the man gravely injured on the parkway.
And through the documentation that they find, they come to find out that this vehicle is owned by a young man by the name of Michael Sandy. So we have a victim. We know his address. And we wanted to know why he would have driven from Williamsburg to the other side of Brooklyn at night in the dark.
Plum Beach is just a dead stretch of sand, kind of a weeded beach where nobody really takes the sun. And it's just a quiet little stretch of beach.
So something's not adding up here. What's going on?
Later that night, some eyewitnesses reveal a disturbing detail.
So some of the accounts that the officers are getting are stating that this young black male is being chased by a number of white males from the parking lot along the Bell Parkway and then being struck by a vehicle as he's being chased. So based on witness accounts, these young men now start to pull him off the highway.
His body got dragged back to the side of the road. They rifled through his pockets before running off. Witnesses saw that.
Given the races that people are specifically noting, we're wondering, is this something racially motivated? You know, this may have been a targeted attack.
A new detail about Michael's final moments comes to light.
The computer logged into America Online, and a conversation was visible on the screen.
The more police learn, the more personal and tragic the case becomes.
It all is a thing to me that stems from his willingness and wanting connection.
He left pointers, he left the breadcrumbs. And like that, I'll see you in 20 minutes was his final moments as he walked out the door.
Eyewitnesses tell police they saw Michael Sandy being chased by several unidentified white men alongside a New York City highway before he was struck by a hit-and-run driver. Hours later, in the early morning, Michael lies in a coma at Brookdale Hospital in Brooklyn.
He's unconscious, so he can't speak to us to tell us how this all went down.
Meanwhile, word of the shocking incident is slowly spreading among Michael's loved ones.
I got a phone call, and I don't believe anyone knew the full details. I didn't really receive any information other than the fact that he was in the hospital on life support.
One of my good friends called and he said Michael was in a pretty severe accident. Like I just felt my whole body fall to the ground hearing that. Then you started seeing it on the news.
I was working as a reporter for the New York Post when this happened. We were told that he was still alive, he was in critical condition, and he was unable to communicate to police exactly what happened.
We're talking to the family, kind of getting a clearer picture as to who Michael is. Yeah, they find out that Michael is 28, soon to be 29-year-old male, and he was an interior designer, and was just a super nice guy. Probably had zero enemies. And we wanted to try to figure out why he may have suddenly find himself in a conflict with other people.
When I was at the hospital, his parents were just desperately trying to find any resource and help that they could.
It wasn't until I spoke with Mr. and Mrs. Sandy to really know the severity of the impact. They were holding up. They had wonderful support with their family, but it was hard to see them hurting the way that they were.
We were able to see him, and he looked rough. I mean, his head was completely swollen. And, you know, being on life support, there was very little kind of hope in the outcome. And I was just shocked. Yeah, you just kind of go through this point of disbelief.
All the machines beeping and blaring and all the hustle and bustle in the hospital to begin with, it was hard to fully absorb what was happening. But it was tough to see him in that position. Feels like a dream happening, very bad dream.
Detectives have little to explain the attack on Michael, other than the vague possibility it was racially motivated. So they head to Michael's apartment in Williamsburg, hoping his roommates can shed some light on his plans that evening.
So the investigators are now looking to interview his roommates. Want to find out if he has any problems. Did he have a beef with somebody? Was he looking to settle a score? You know, we need to figure out why he may have gone from Williamsburg to Chief's Head Bay, and to see maybe is there any conflict that was occurring that evening.
His roommates don't recall anything out of the ordinary that evening, but they mention that they saw Michael chatting on the internet earlier in the night. They chalk it up to some innocent online dating.
We are hearing from Michael Sandy's roommates that he is single. And like many people were doing when this whole online dating thing was starting to really take hold, he was going out and talking to people online and going out to meet them.
The internet really emerged when we were young adults. And this is one way where we could connect to people of our age and have that social interaction, even if it was a digital form of connection.
So back in 2006, the online dating scene was still pretty new and fairly unregulated. So you were talking to people online and not really knowing who was on the other end.
Now investigators begin to question if race had anything to do with the crime, or whether Michael's innocent search for love online may have led him down a dangerous path.
Every new thing has its benefits and its drawbacks. And we had seen, certainly by 2006, that the online environment was one that was being used pretty heavily by gay men in particular. And one of the drawbacks of the internet and online dating is that people will use them as avenues to target others.
So now we potentially want to look at Michael Sandy's computer to see if that is going to give us any investigative evidence to corroborate that.
Investigators find Michael's laptop in his bedroom.
Now we start to shift their attention to, did Michael Sandy maybe talk to somebody online and went to go meet them, and maybe that scenario went wrong.
To explore the possibility that a crime may have originated on the internet, investigators reach out to computer specialist Denise Dragos.
The New York City Police Department had one of the very first computer crime units in the country. It was called CIT back in those days, Computer Investigation and Technology Unit. Eventually, it became the Computer Crime Squad. The detective squad, they needed assistance to actually handle the laptop as evidence and preserve what was visible on the screen and whatever else may be on that computer. So I got my kit together, which we would bring out to digital crime scenes. Hard drives, USB drives, other tools potentially that may come in handy, and we responded. The computer was logged into America Online, and a conversation was visible on the screen.
New York City police believe a computer chat may have lured Michael Sandy into an attack. As Michael lays gravely injured in the hospital, NYPD computer specialist Denise Dragos discovers that Michael's computer is still logged into a chat room on America Online.
The chat conversation happened the evening of the 8th. Before the incident, basically it's two users, Fisheye Fox, and a second account which went by the screen name Drum and Bass 007, which is Michael's account. They're having a conversation. They're talking about potentially smoking marijuana together. And, they say how old each of them are, what they look like.
So in the initial conversation that Michael Sandy's having with this fish-eyed fox, they agree to meet up. They talk about meeting up in Plum Beach, Brooklyn, which is where he is struck by a vehicle.
They make plans to meet there at 8 o'clock, but it's clear that things didn't go as planned.
So searching through Michael's AOL chat history, when they meet up, Fish-Eyed Fox is not alone. There are other people around, which makes Michael Sandy feel uneasy. So he gets spooked and he leaves.
By 8:45, Michael returns to the chat from his apartment in Williamsburg.
He goes back to his computer, and Fish-Eyed Fox is saying, hey, what happened to you, and why'd you leave? And Michael Sandy says, well, I thought we were meeting one-on-one, and there were other people around, so it just felt weird, so I left. And now Fish-Eyed Fox is trying to convince him, oh, yeah, I don't know who those guys were, or, we can just meet one-on-one, it'll just be the two of us. So come on back out, and we'll meet up again.
By 10 o'clock, Michael is found by the side of the parkway, just yards from the Plum Beach parking lot.
It all is a thing to me that stems from his willingness and wanting connection. Like, so much went out of his brain for that possibility. And the real hard part is that he just didn't listen to his instinct that day. And he went back.
Looking back, I got the impression that he might have had an idea of what he was doing was potentially risky. I don't think it was an accident that he left his computer on with the chat window open. He left pointers, he left the breadcrumbs. And like that, I'll see you in 20 minutes was his final moments as he walked out the door.
Police now believe this online chat between Michael and Fisheye Fox is a key piece of evidence, and they're hoping it may lead them to a suspect.
We started doing live system analysis at the time, just to preserve the information that was there. So even without touching it, did little old school pictures, traditional pictures of it, just to make sure that even if it crashed, at least we had that. We were running special software on the machines, which copied out all of the system memory to an external drive. So that in that case, we were able to get a lot of information and preserve it forensically in real time.
For investigators, it's now imperative that they track down the man Michael was chatting with, who goes by the screen name Fisheye Fox. But due to privacy laws, that will require a court order.
You have to remember, back in 2006, the internet was a very different place. Some of these social media companies were not necessarily forthcoming with information about their clients.
We started doing the process to subpoena America Online to see who owns this Fisheye Fox account, if we could identify that person.
On October 9th, a day after Michael Sandy was struck on the Belt Parkway, the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office issues a subpoena to America Online to disclose the name of the individual who goes by the chat handle Fisheye Fox.
So in the investigation, we come to find out that Fisheye Fox is a screen name that is owned by someone by the name of John Fox, who has an IP address that comes back to Brooklyn. And thus, the investigators now go to that address in Brooklyn where the ping of this IP address is coming back to.
The address on Brigham Street is just a few blocks from Plum Beach in Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn, where Michael was struck.
It was a row houses on this block on Brigham Street. We pretty much set up a surveillance operation with numerous detectives in different cars. And as all the teams are sitting there, somebody shows up at that house and walks up to the front gate. All of the police cars, come screeching up, and the detectives jump out and approach the individual. We identified ourselves as being detectives, NYPD. And he says, "What's going on, guys?"
NYPD detectives have tracked the source of a computer chat room message they believe was used to lure Michael Sandy to a vicious attack. Based on the IP address linked to the message, they descend on a house in Brooklyn.
The gentleman who lived at that address, he said, "I just got off work. Can I help you guys?" So we asked him his name.
The chat room message was from a user called Fisheye Fox, who police have identified as John Fox. But that is not the man's name. And there's no one named John Fox who lives at his address.
So that was a little bit of a pucker moment. Like, oh crap. We asked, "Do you have internet service?" He goes, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, I just got a new router." So we're like, "All right, can we come inside and talk to you about a situation?" He goes, "Yeah, come on inside." As soon as we walk into the kitchen, right there on the kitchen table, we can see a brand new wireless router.
So new that no security has been set up on it yet. Detective Dragos realizes that means anyone could have tapped into this internet service. And a quick check reveals her theory to be correct.
It appeared that now we had a rogue device on this wireless network. The homeowner just had a new router and it wasn't secured and was logged into surreptitiously by this Fisheye Fox user.
Detective Dragos knows that if the rogue device is logged into this router, it must be close by, within range of the Wi-Fi signal.
All right, well, where are they? They have to be within a stone's throw. So let's try and figure out where they are right now. So I'm like, I can try to talk to them and stir the pot and see what happens. So I have an undercover account and I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" It was just a shot in the dark to see, if I could figure out where the heck this computer was. I got a response from Fisheye Fox. So now I'm talking to Fisheye Fox myself. And so I'm like, "Hey, what's going on? How you been? When are we getting together?" And he's, I'm back at school. So we're confounded right now.
Detective Dragos reaches out to her contact at America Online, who is able to determine that John Fox, aka Fisheye Fox, is now chatting from a different location entirely.
And we're like, "Well, what's this other location?" And they said it goes back to SUNY Maritime, which is State University of New York Maritime College, which was a college, in the Bronx.
A check with the campus security office reveals there is a sophomore enrolled at SUNY Maritime named John Fox.
It was after midnight, I'm sure, at that point. And basically, we all responded in a caravan from that location. Everybody drove out to the Bronx to go and talk to John Fox.
The investigators coordinate with SUNY campus police to locate John Fox's dorm room.
It's 1 a.m. in the morning, and now you're going to talk to someone whose part in this whole thing is still unclear. We do know that John Fox is connected to the screen name that Michael Sandy was talking to. So everyone's antennas are up.
When the 19-year-old student comes to the door, he appears surprised, but his demeanor is calm.
So the investigators are now talking to John Fox at his dorm, and they're asking him, what was your weekend like? And he proceeds to tell them, well, I was just hanging out with some friends, and we were just drinking some beers, just chilling out for the weekend, just a few friends having a good time. During this interview, John Fox starts to get nervous, and his answers start to contradict themselves. This is going from an interview turning into an interrogation.
John Fox agrees to accompany the detectives to the 61st Precinct in Brooklyn.
John Fox is saying in his statement that he and Anthony Fortunato and Gary Timmons and the Russian kid, Alex, are hanging out by a local deli. They decide to go back to the house where John Fox logs into the computer. And he admits that Fish-Eyed Fox is his screen name, but that his friends must have been using his screen name to have a conversation, because he knew nothing about this conversation. But then he starts to turn around and say, well, we were just looking to have a little fun. What does that mean? What does it mean that we're looking to have a little fun? And he starts to basically incriminate himself. And he claims Anthony Fortunato is the one who sort of hatched this scheme to go into a gay chat room, talk with someone who's looking to meet up with another man, and then meet up with that person to rob them under the assumption that the gay man won't go to the police.
The reality that some folks actually feel a certain amount of shame, and so they would be less likely to report. They would be less likely to make a complaint.
It was a very powerful set of facts. There was something particularly chilling about how this man was lured out to his death, basically.
Could have been anyone. They weren't looking for a black man, they weren't looking for a white man, they were looking for a victim. And unfortunately, they chose Michael Sandy.
John Fox admits to NYPD detectives that he, Anthony Fortunato, and a group of their friends used the screen name Fish-Eye Fox in a chat room to set up a meeting with Michael Sandy under the guise of a date, with the intention of robbing him.
So they met on the street. John Fox and him had a brief conversation, and Fortunato and then a couple of their other friends actually were in the area. So Michael got spooked. His spidey sense was tingling. He left. All was good.
Detectives believe that while Michael returned home, John Fox and his friends didn't want to give up.
They start drinking beers again, and they say, oh, maybe we can find somebody else. In the interim, Michael reaches back out. I said, hey, I just want to hang out with you. I don't want to do a group thing, so let's just me and you hang out. So John was like, all right, cool, we'll do that. So he came back.
They all get to Plum Beach, and they approach a blue Mazda, which is Michael Sandy's car. Alex starts to assault Michael Sandy. Michael Sandy breaks away from the assault, and they start to chase him.
Where was he going to go? If they were going to prevent him from getting into his car, he's going onto the highway.
Imagine the sheer terror that he was probably feeling when he's chased onto a busy highway, running for his life and running into a speeding vehicle. Those last seconds of his life were seconds that he didn't deserve.
That car takes off, never stops. And then the men, they drag him to the side of the road. One of them goes into his pockets, empties everything, and they take off.
John Fox, he says they all fled the scene, and then they all went back to the house, and they were all shaken up by this whole scenario.
It's almost like classic Stupid Kids, but there was a coldness about it as well.
Police begin to investigate the friends John Fox says took part in the scheme. And when they learn the home address of Anthony Fortunato, the pieces of the puzzle start to come together. Fortunato's house is next door to the Brooklyn home the detectives visited the night before, where a rogue computer was logged into the Wi-Fi.
So they go to Anthony Fortunato's house to talk to him, and he claims, yeah, I'll come talk to you. I'm just gonna get a lawyer and I'll come down to the station to talk to you guys.
But Fortunato never shows up at the precinct as promised.
Then suddenly we get a call from his mother stating that, well, Anthony can't come talk to you because he's in the hospital. He tried to kill himself. However, John Fox has implicated two other people, Gary Timmons and this other kid known as the Russian kid, Alex. So the investigators looking through MySpace with the information given to them by John Fox find out Russian kid's true identity is now revealed by someone by the name of Ilya Shurov. So now investigators can go talk to them.
Fox, Timmons, and Shirov all confess to their roles in the attack, pointing to Fortunato as the mastermind of the plan. Meanwhile, at Brookdale Hospital, Michael Sandy's family is facing a terrible choice.
So Michael Sandy's in the hospital unconscious. He's dying. He's not going to recover. The doctors know this. Doctors make the family aware of this. And he will never be the person that he was.
On October 12th, Michael Sandy spends his 29th birthday with his family holding vigil in his ICU room. They know they are spending their final moments with him.
They wanted to wait so that he didn't die on his birthday.
So a day after his 29th birthday, his family made that awful, awful decision.
I received a call from Mrs. Sandy and said, you know, we took Michael off life support. So, just always thinking that this can't be true, but, you know, these emotions just kind of come over you. I'm still trying to process it. But, you know, you kind of go through those moments when you can and be supportive for the family. But you kind of just feel your whole body collapse in that moment. It takes your breath away, you know, in that moment.
You need to let him go. You feel robbed. You know, you really, especially when it comes with an act that has such malice for anything of joy and life and love.
Investigators now have statements from 3 of their suspects, But they still can't speak with Anthony Fortunato, the alleged mastermind of the scheme, who remains hospitalized after his suicide attempt. While they wait for his condition to improve, they execute a search warrant at his home.
We go back out to the location, and when law enforcement gets there, they said, all right, you're looking for computers, here's our computer. This is the only computer we have. But we're able to actually look at the computer and immediately say, no, that's not the computer we're looking for, because, you know, it is mapped to the manufacturer. And in this case, we knew we were looking for a Dell computer. The computer that they happened to like pull out of a hat and say was the only computer in the house was not a Dell. So we were like, no, try again. And they didn't have any other computers that they were willing to voluntarily turn over. So a search of the residence commenced as authorized by the search warrant. Hidden in the basement was a Dell laptop. That was the computer that was connected to the IP address that was connected to Fisheye Fox during the crime. So we knew we found what we were looking for. It basically was the smoking gun.
By the time Fortunato is released from the hospital, Kings County prosecutors are prepared to act. They now have everything they need to file charges of attempted robbery and manslaughter, but they're also considering a unique enhancement to the charges that's rarely been tried before.
This was a real social problem that people were being targeted as victims of a crime because they belonged to certain groups. And in this case, they were looking to select a gay person, and that's what they did. That is the element that establishes the hate crime.
Four men are facing charges in the attack that killed Michael Sandy. And prosecutors are prepared to also try them on a rare and untested set of charges.
This was one of the first cases I can recall clearly where the hate crimes enhancement was actually used in New York State for an anti-gay murder. And I think it was important for the community for this to be called what it was. It had a lot of meaning for people.
On October 25th, 2006, John Fox, Ilya Shurov, and Anthony Fortunato are indicted on charges of second-degree murder, attempted robbery, and manslaughter as a hate crime. That same day, Gary Timmons, who was a minor at the time of the crime, pleads guilty to attempted robbery in the second degree.
You want to make sure that when a case is tried as a hate crime, it has to specifically plug into the statutes of the hate crimes law. And the sentence that is usually handed down is a much heavier sentence.
But as the date of trial approaches in October 2007, nearly a year to the day from the attack on Michael at Plum Beach, Anthony Fortunato's attorney mounts a stunning defense to the hate crime charges.
Fortunato tried to pull a rabbit out of the hat and said it can't be a hate crime because he came out of the closet himself. He identified himself as being a gay man and said that because he's gay, it can't be a hate crime because you can't hate gay people if you're gay also.
It was an extremely flimsy defense legally because hate is not an aspect of the crime itself. That's not something that the prosecution has to establish in order to establish somebody's guilt of a hate crime. He could have mixed motives, but it doesn't get him off the hook. From the get-go, the whole plan was based on targeting a gay person.
John Fox and Anthony Fortunato are acquitted of murder, but convicted of manslaughter and attempted robbery as hate crimes, receiving sentences of 7 to 21 years. A month later, Ilya Shurov pleads guilty to the same charges and receives a sentence of 17.5 years. Gary Timmons, who testifies as a prosecution witness, receives a 4-year sentence.
When they were found guilty, it was a natural release to have some vindication, but I don't know about the justice part.
I absolutely cannot say as to whether or not justice was served in this case. Maybe it's for Michael's parents to answer that question, for Michael's soul or spirit to answer that question, even in an odd way for his perpetrators to answer that question. Because I would have a hard time feeling that justice were served if they did not come to understand the gravity and tragedy of what they did.
This case sort of impacted me on a personal level. Back in 2006, I was a single gay man on the internet, talking to people and meeting up with people. For all practical purposes, I could have been Michael Sandy.
Michael Sandy's closest friends are left with nothing now, except their memories and a few artifacts of his last days, like this video from the fall of 2006, when he enjoyed a final evening out in Brooklyn with his friends.
Can I put my glasses on?
I've been single for like 5 years. I lived on Long Island forever. No one ever wanted to take me to dinner. No one to ever go out. You know, I moved here to find a husband. Stop.
That is too much. You heard his laugh.
You know, I moved here to find a husband.
He was a wonderful human being from head to toe.
Wonderful. Okay, it's rocking.
He exudes this wonderful light that shines and magical laughter and smiles. And he loved life to the fullest.
Today was a sucky day, but at the same time, it makes me laugh so hard.
I know that if he was my boyfriend and was in love with me, I know he would be amazing. I cannot wait to see him.
I texted asking if she was okay, and she never texted back.
I asked her friends, acquaintances, anybody, if you have seen her, contact me. By 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm in full mode panic.
And then I told her, we need to go to Grand Rapids.
It was like time stood still. We knew something was wrong.
That's when I see blood. I'd yell at my girlfriend, call the cops, call the cops.
I opened the bag, and there were human limbs inside that bag.
I remember thinking, what kind of animal does this to a person?
Autumn 2018, Kalamazoo, Michigan. 31-year-old Ashley Young is pursuing her dream of becoming a language interpreter.
Ashley wanted to explore. She wanted to learn any culture. It didn't matter who you were, you know? She was gonna ask you questions and ask how your day was.
So let's talk about my morning and how amazing, and I promise none of this is exaggerated or made up. It is, you can't make this up, okay?
I always told her, you can do anything, you can be anything that you want. You just need to put your mind to it.
To make ends meet, Ashley works nights at a bank call center.
She loved that job. She was helping people with their accounts if they had questions, and she could put their mind at ease.
During the day, Ashley takes language classes at Kalamazoo Community College.
So anyways, have a good day. I really am gonna go get ready for class now, and sorry for talking a lot, but that's just me.
Ashley was positive, always positive. We called her Sunshine.
Today was a sucky day, but at the same time, it makes me laugh so hard.
Ashley was always on social media. She was the light, the conscience you never knew you really needed. And the times that you were frustrated, she put it in perspective for you. Like, you know, you could have it worse.
I hope I at least made you smile and made you realize that, you know, your day is probably going a hell of a lot better than mine.
I met Christine in 2002. Ashley and her mom were best buddies, and I had to be that step-parent. But we made it, you know. Ashley was just lovable and joyful.
I met Ashley the first day of 10th grade. We had a couple classes together, we had choir together. We'd sit in our car for hours just talking in her mom's driveway, listening to music, singing, and just being silly girls. And then after school, we're still inseparable.
After high school, Ashley puts her dreams of studying languages on hold. She works a series of jobs, and when she is 24 years old, she meets Moody Farran. The two quickly fall in love, and within a couple of years, are living together.
She had never really dated or been with anyone until Moody, and he was her first love. She adored him, and he adored her, and it was just like a little fairy tale.
Moody loved her, and he had already, gave her a promise ring. They were together almost 7 years.
But by 31, Ashley has decided to make big changes in her life. Not only is she in school working towards her dream job, but she also decides that it's time to end her long-time relationship.
She was trying to balance work and going to school, and they were both kind of just at a different point in their life.
After the breakup, on November 10th, 2018, she surprises her best friend Samantha with a trip to Detroit.
She took me to Detroit to go to a concert to go see Tash Sultana, an artist that I love. That trip was amazing.
This is Facebook Live, by the way. Oh, wonderful. Oh, you look so pretty.
After our concert, we just talked about life, just talked about where we were both at that time, about her and Moody, and about how she was going to be moving out. She was nervous, but it gave her something to look forward to. When she brought me home, I didn't know that was going to be the last time I ever saw her.
A week later, on November 18th, Ashley meets her mom, Christine, to begin packing up her things from the home she shares with Moody.
Her and Moody were moving out of their apartment, so we put everything into storage for her.
Ashley asks her mom to come with her at the end of the month when she'll sign the lease on a new apartment.
Ashley was beyond ecstatic about getting this apartment. Talking to her, you would have thought she was winning $1 million. You would have thought she was decorating a mansion, the way she would talk. And that was the last time I saw Ashley.
On Wednesday, November 28th, the night before Ashley is scheduled to sign her lease, she goes out for the evening. Ashley checks in with her mom, but does not say where she is headed or who she is meeting.
The last time I got a message from Ashley was at 5:55. And she said that she was almost to her destination. That's not Ashley. Ashley would say, you know,
I'm at Walmart or
yeah, wherever she was, but she said destination.
The morning of the lease signing comes, and Christine does not hear from Ashley.
I sent her a message first thing in the morning. I'm like, where are you? Where are you? And all day, I'm not getting anything. There was something wrong. I called Ashley's work, but nobody has heard from her. And that's when it starts hitting me. Where is she? And it just snowballs from there. You're not answering. I am worried. You don't tell people where you are going. You don't have to tell me, but damn it, you need to tell someone. I need to know you're okay. You need to contact someone and let somebody know. November 30th in the morning, I called the police to file a missing persons report.
Officers talked to some people that were close to Ashley to see if they knew where she was or could account for her whereabouts, and they could not. When we get a missing person report and the person happens to be 31 years old, that could mean a number of things. Maybe the person doesn't want to be found or is just away with friends and having a good time. So it's generally not assigned to a full-blown investigation at that point.
But Ashley's loved ones have a sinking feeling something is wrong. And they know that this is all happening in the wake of a big breakup.
When she broke up with Moody, I think, Moody didn't really want it.
When somebody goes missing, especially young women, a partner or a potential partner, somebody that they know and that they trust or that they're potentially intimate with, tends to be the person that might harm them.
As the day goes on and you're not hearing anything, panic starts to set in. So I called Moody and I asked him, where is she?
Investigators catch a glimpse of Ashley's final moments.
You can see him kind of turn around, he's pointing at something, he's talking to somebody, and then eventually Ashley joins him.
And race to determine who she was with.
He seemed to be a person prone to violence and unpredictable.
Before the unthinkable happens.
I tell the dispatcher, I need officers fast.
I see a lot of death. This one stands out in my career as a horrific scene.
November 30th, 2018. 31-year-old Ashley Young has not contacted her family in more than 24 hours.
At midnight, I'm flipping out a little bit. By 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm in full mode panic. And I remember I called my supervisor. And I said, I'm not going to be in today. And she said, okay, is there anything I can do? The first words out of my mouth were pray. Just needed to pray.
Ashley's family is worried her disappearance might have something to do with her recent breakup with her boyfriend, Moody.
prior to them actually breaking up. Ashley told me there had been a couple arguments and their relationship did hit a couple walls.
But Moody appears genuinely distraught about Ashley's disappearance.
He starts panicking because he don't know where Ashley is, and that's why he got with us in the middle of the night. Moody was right there with us, looking for her. And he was so hurt and so upset. Moody loved her, and I knew she loved him too.
When Moody provides police with information about his whereabouts for the past several days, he is cleared by law enforcement. Christine makes a plea to Ashley's friends.
I put out on Facebook that I haven't heard from her, can't get in contact with her. I asked her friends, acquaintances, anybody, if you have seen her, contact me.
Meanwhile, Christine uncovers a possible lead on Facebook.
Christine goes into her daughter's Facebook activity and is able to see that she's been communicating with a person named Jared Chance in recent days.
Jared Chance is an old friend of Ashley's.
6 years ago, they spent a lot of time together hanging out as friends. There might have been an attraction there, you know, but Ashley was not that type because she was in that relationship with Moody. And then Jared disappeared. So she never heard from him in 6 years. During our trip to Detroit to go to the concert, she had said that he was really reaching out. They started talking more and more, and then Jared called her because he needed a ride home. And so she went and helped him. And so then he wanted to take her out as a thank you.
In the wake of her breakup with Moody, Ashley has just begun to dip her toes into the dating pool.
She was texting me about having feelings for Jared, just asking for advice on what do you think I should say? Should I say this or should I say that? And yeah, I just want to get it perfect.
Ashley leaves another friend a voicemail expressing her excitement about Jared.
Jared is so hard to read, but I know that if he was my boyfriend and he actually was in love with me, I know he would be amazing. I cannot wait to see him on Wednesday.
Wednesday, November 28th, the night Ashley vanished.
Once I found out that Ashley was with Jared, I asked if anybody had his phone number.
One of Ashley's friends does. So Christine calls Jared to see if he can help.
She asks him, "Do you know where my daughter is? Do you have any information?" And he said that they were actually together the previous night, but that she went home and that he has no idea what happened to her.
Jared said that Ashley and him had been to Mulligan's Bar in Easttown, Grand Rapids. And then I told Christine, we need to go to Grand Rapids. We need to go see where she was, follow her footsteps.
Grand Rapids is about an hour north of Kalamazoo, where Ashley lives.
Grand Rapids is a college town. It's a huge city. It's the second largest city in the state of Michigan.
Ashley's moms arrive at Mulligan's on November 30th.
So I talked with the bartender at Mulligan's, and we were able to go look at the security footage. You could see Jared and Ashley wandering around the bar. She ordered a drink. She's smiling, she's laughing. She's being Ashley. I wanted to pull her off the screen and take her home.
But the footage doesn't show her leaving the bar. Despair and desperation start sinking in for Ashley's loved ones.
It was like time stood still, you know, in a sense, and you just had that pit in your stomach. You knew something was wrong.
And we just went, driving around Grand Rapids looking for Ashley. We walked down the railroad tracks. We poked around ponds, lakes.
There was nothing. It's almost like you think you're dreaming, but you're not dreaming. Everything was a wild goose chase.
Friday, November 30th, 2018. Christine Young has had no luck finding her missing daughter, Ashley, but she has discovered that Ashley was last seen at a bar with a friend named Jared Chance on the night she disappeared. She takes what she's learned to the Grand Rapids police.
Christine Young asked for the police department to help, but if it was Jared, we need evidence, you know. You can develop theories, but theories won't get you a search warrant. Theories won't get you an arrest warrant. You need evidence, you need facts.
Frustrated, Christine reaches out again to Jared. He previously told her that he and Ashley went their separate ways after going to the bar on November 28th. She begs him to share anything else he can remember.
And that's when he told me about Demetrius.
Jared says Ashley was talking to a guy he knows named Demetrius Taylor that night at the bar. The relentless mothers track him down.
When we got there, he's like, I don't know, Ashley. I don't know your daughter at all. And he opened up his phone and showed the text messages where Jared said, hey, Ashley's mom's gonna call you, and you have to say that Ashley was just with you, and you guys were just together. And Christine was reading it, and she's like, no. Demetrius said, you can copy it, give it to the police, whatever you need to do. Even though we didn't know him, we kind of hit it off. And because he was compassionate and was understanding what Christine was going through, and he said he has kids, he understands.
After that point, I think everybody kind of knew that we just didn't get the whole story from Jared.
It just became more and more plain that Jared was trying to stall.
I had always told her that I didn't think that he was good for her. I didn't think that he necessarily had the best intentions for her, or that he knew how to be a good man.
Christine and Dana decide to head to Jared's apartment to confront him face to face. That same afternoon, a resident of downtown Grand Rapids makes a shocking discovery.
I was living in Grand Rapids on Franklin Street. 2 apartments downstairs, single father, custody of my 12-year-old daughter. My girlfriend had been complaining about a bad smell in the apartment for, about a day and a half. And me, I'm thinking, it's dead mice in the walls or something. But the smell was definitely strong. My cat runs in the basement. So I had to go to retrieve my cat. So I opened the door so the light from the day could shine down into the basement so I could see. As I go down the stairs, I see the tarp on the floor. That's when I see blood. I make it to the top of the stairs at full speed. I'd yell at my girlfriend, call the cops, call the cops.
Our house been having a real bad smell lately. So I just went in the basement, opened the basement door, and there's a tarp, and what looks like it could be blood leaking from it. And I want the police to come here ASAP right now and look at it.
Alright, so it's the lower level apartment room?
Yes.
I'm not the smartest man in the world, but there's blood, there's trouble. I'm thinking I'm a father. Like, I have a daughter at home. Like, I need officers fast.
Please send somebody right now, because I don't know what it is, but it looks like blood is leaking from it, and I'm not going to touch the type or anything like that.
GRPD showed up at that address not too long afterwards. Like most police agencies, you know, they all have body cameras on now.
Okay. Where are we going? Share basement?
And so we're able to watch the officers go into the basement. And it's like watching a horror movie, because they're going through this darkened basement that's lit by flashlights. They look at the tarp and see something that they will never ever forget.
Everybody back out. Let's just get in there. Everybody back out. Let's just get in there.
On December 2nd, 2018, Grand Rapids police officers make a horrific discovery in the basement of an apartment building.
I'm standing in the driveway like, oh, this can't be. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not real. This is not real. This is not happening. The police asked me, can they search my house? Of course, like, please.
Among the officers who respond is the detective who Christine has asked for help in her search for Ashley.
By the time I got there, there were officers in front and back of the house, making sure that nobody went in or came out without us knowing it.
Okay, the tarp is laying on the stairs, the last 3 stairs.
I then entered the house, went down into the basement where this tarp was found. So this tarp was quite large and it had a zipper on it. I unzipped the bag and we then discover the body of a woman with the arms and legs and head missing. I remember thinking, who are we dealing with here? You know, what kind of animal does this to a person?
Police have now discovered this horrendous scene, and they know that they have a body, but all of the identifying features have been removed, so they don't know who is dead and they don't know who potentially killed them. There's multiple occupants in this multi-dwelling residence.
Police on the search warrant! Come to the door!
Who do you think they found living in the upstairs apartment?
What's your name? What's your last name? Your chance?
Jared was secured in a police car and transported to our headquarters. It didn't take long to realize that this case was going to be different than most.
I see a lot of death, all methods, and this one, it stands out in my career as a horrific scene. I went up the stairs looking for the rest of the body. When I entered the second level apartment, there was a large brown stain on the kitchen floor. I look in the bathroom and noted there wasn't a shower curtain in the bathtub.
Rosemary Christensen disappeared on August 26, 1999. When a person disappears without a trace, often the most critical information is hidden in their actions and words from the days before they vanished. Rosemary Christensen's last known whereabouts may hold the clues to what happened to her. Australian Rosemary Christensen is outgoing and friendly. She likes to socialize.
With no phone calls, nobody answering the home phone, there was something very wrong.
The thing that stands out was my pleading with her to please come stay with me, be safe.
But when she goes missing, it is her husband who pleads for help.
Please, if anybody's seen Rose, know where she's at, please.
I didn't believe any of it for a minute. I knew he had done something to Rosemary and it wasn't going to be good.
As nearly 10 years pass, the case goes cold until...
I felt that someday my phone would ring, and I thought at that point in time I would be able to come forward.
This is the mystery of how Rosemary Christensen disappeared. Three-year-old Rosemary Christensen is a well-respected realtor near Clearwater, Florida.
She was the friendliest, nicest, sweetest person ever.
She cared a lot about people, and in turn, people cared a lot about her.
The day Rosemary went missing starts just like any other. Rosemary is on her way to work at a local real estate firm for the daily meeting.
It's always the same. We do our pump-up, rah-rah sessions and then listen about new listings and just a normal day.
As her day progresses, Rosemary gets some great news. One of her properties has sold, and she's elated.
She'd worked hard on this contract, and it came through. And, you know, once something like that happens, she would just get overjoyed over it.
Moments like this are the reason Rosemary loves the real estate business. And the business loves her.
She was excellent. She knew what her job was and did it very, very well.
She was very dedicated, very hardworking. I mean, she took things so seriously. In fact, she had won several awards and everything, and she'd only been in it for a couple of years.
Rosemary began her realty career in 1997, shortly after moving to the United States from Holland. In Holland, she was the wife of a diplomat, a role she relished that took her all over the world. Rosemary's Australian accent, cordiality, and worldliness help her connect with practically everyone she meets.
I met Rosemary at an open house. I had done real estate for a long time, and she's just starting. And then we also got into her background, which was diplomatic. I had a diplomatic background as well. And we instantly hit it off.
Before moving to America, Rosemary also hits it off with someone she meets on the internet, a 47-year-old man from Illinois named Robert G. Temple.
We were just friends at first and get involved into phone calls. She told me about she was married to a diplomat, and, you know, and naturally I didn't believe her when she had told me, and all the people that she had met and presidents that she had been to dinners with. You know, I thought it was internet chat, so I think I might have been a secret agent, or who knows, you know how people exaggerate.
He had told her that he was with the FBI, that he had several homes in several places, and somehow or another he convinced her to come over to the United States to meet him in person.
Rosemary separates from her husband and flies to Chicago to meet Temple, who's surprised to learn she's been truthful about herself from day one.
When she did come to see me, I knew she was telling the truth, and I had already told her, and I felt so ashamed, you know, that, you know, I'm just a farm boy from Illinois.
Rosemary gets divorced, and after a 6-month courtship, Rosemary and Robert get married and settle in the quiet community of Bel Air, Florida. In this condo, which Rosemary pays for. Rosemary's friends don't really understand the attraction.
When I first met Robert Temple, I had no idea what Rosemary was doing with him.
We're still trying to figure that one out.
Whatever her friends think, Rosemary and Robert do seem to enjoy a true, loving bond.
Sometimes opposites attract, which they do in many relationships. You know, whatever goes on behind closed doors is something we're not ever privy to, but they must have had something to be together.
Thursday, August 26th, 1999, back at work, Rosemary continues to celebrate the property she sold. While she runs through the office parking lot to tell coworkers the good news, she trips and falls onto her knee.
I believe her heel got caught in the asphalt and she skinned her knee. And there's a little scratch.
And she'd ripped her hose, so we Band-Aided it up because it hadn't run yet or anything. So she was okay, but she was like so upset about her hose having a hole in it now because she had an appointment.
Meeting with clients is the part of the job Rosemary enjoys the most.
She would take people out to dinner and to lunch and show them where to go.
When she was with clients, they warmed up to her instantly, and we never felt anything but comfortable with her going out with the clients.
But her husband, Robert, worries about the kind of people Rosemary may meet.
That was the only time I ever worried about her was at night. I shouldn't say this, but sometimes I would go ahead and follow her.
At 2 p.m., just 5 hours before her disappearance, Rosemary has an appointment with clients.
I know she was showing property to a couple that she met up in Bel Air Beach.
Rosemary meets her clients at the Bel Air Beach Resort Motel. Next, she takes them to view a number of properties. At one home, Rosemary gets a call on her cell phone around 3:30.
Robert had been calling her.
I called and she said, I'm probably going to be late because I've got about 20 places I can show her if she wants to see them all. We'll just go with whatever she wants to do. But I'll call you before I come home.
A half hour later, Rosemary's phone rings again. This time, Rosemary is annoyed and excuses herself.
Nothing worse than when you're trying to show somebody a house and you're getting interrupted and you lose your train of thought.
At around 5:30 that afternoon, Rosemary apologizes for the interruption and wraps up the appointment. Then she schedules another appointment for 11 a.m. the next day. Rosemary says goodbye to her client and then heads home. This is the last time Rosemary Christensen is seen. The next day, Rosemary's client shows up at the realty office looking for Rosemary. It's unusual that Rosemary didn't call in, but coworker Kathy assumes Rosemary's absence is likely connected to problems she's having with Robert.
The first thing I did think was, okay, they had a falling out, and here she's not coming in. But I just kind of let it go.
Most of the day goes by, and still, no call from Rosemary. Her coworkers are prepping for a company beach party the next day, and Rosemary fails to help as planned.
She was supposed to be making a potato salad for this party, and she didn't have a bowl big enough, so she had asked one of the associates if she could borrow a big bowl. So they put this bowl out and had it sitting out there waiting for her on Friday to pick up, and she never came. And I said, well, she still got Saturday. I mean, it doesn't take long to make potato salad.
But deep down, Kathy thinks Rosemary might be avoiding her coworkers, because Kathy's come to know a secret detail of Rosemary's home life. It's Friday, August 27th, 1999. Florida realtor Rosemary Christensen hasn't been seen since the night before. Her coworker Kathy McKinnon thinks it might be because Rosemary and her husband, Robert Temple, had an argument. In fact, Kathy worries that Rosemary may be hiding from sight. She can't forget something Rosemary told her just a month earlier.
She wanted me to know that she's having problems with Robert and that they'd had major domestic fights. And the reasoning why she was not in the office, she'd be gone for a couple days, is because she was too embarrassed that a bruise would show her.
I hate the fact that people think that I could ever hurt Rosemary. You know, I never hurt Rose, threatened her or anything.
On Saturday, August 28th, Kathy hopes Rosemary will come out of hiding to attend the company beach party. Rosemary and Robert went to the party the year before, but this year, they're both a no-show.
See, she never came. And I had been calling her, and she's with no response.
Rosemary's boss then pages her multiple times.
And the more pages went by without a response, the more elevated the concern became.
After that, the party was over, still no Rosemary. I just figured that she and Robert had a fight and that she was at home trying to make the wounds go away so no one would see it.
The next morning, Kathy and a coworker are worried about Rosemary. They head over to her condominium to check up on her. But Kathy knows that in order to get to Rosemary, she might have to confront Robert.
Robert never really liked me.
As Kathy and a male coworker arrive at the condominium complex to look for Rosemary, they notice Robert's motorcycle and Rosemary's car are still sitting in their parking lot. The vehicles make Kathy wonder why her phone calls have gone unanswered if both Rosemary and Robert are still at home.
I knew something was really wrong then.
Kathy wanders around the back of the complex toward Rosemary's condo, Unit 148.
And all the windows were closed, all the drapes were pulled. It was just dark. I mean, there was nobody, you couldn't see in. And that's when we called the Bel Air police.
Soon the police arrive. A locksmith opens the condo, and an officer enters the home. After the police search the home, they contact Rosemary's best friend, Laurel.
I got a phone call that they were at her condo. Then he proceeded to tell me that the carpet was missing. At that point, I started crying because I had been at her house just recently. The carpet was new, it was beautiful, the walls were freshly painted.
Rosemary had just remodeled her condo, and my carpet guy helped, and I knew something was really, really wrong at that moment.
Desperate for answers, Kathy calls Robert Temple's family in Decatur, Illinois, and speaks to a woman who answers the phone.
I just asked if she had seen Robert, and she said that Robert was up there in Illinois. And I said, well, is Rosemary with him? And she said no. And I said, well, we can't seem to find Rosemary. And she asked me if I had looked in the trunk of Rosemary's car for her. I asked her why would she say something like that, and she goes, well, you know they've been having problems.
What was allegedly said intensifies Kathy's suspicions about Robert. She's somewhat surprised when moments later, Robert calls her back.
I said, Robert, where's Rosemary? And then he started getting all upset and said, did she leave me, Kathy? Did she leave me? I said, I don't know, Robert. All I want to know is where is she? Do you know where she is? And that's when he says that she went off with some people Thursday night and he left town. I told him he was lying. I said, Robert, don't be telling me this kind of crap. He just says, I know you're not going to believe it, but it doesn't matter. That's exactly what the point is.
As the search for Rosemary ramps up, Pinellas County Sheriff's detectives take over the investigation and attempt to locate Temple.
They learned rather quickly that he was in Illinois visiting relatives, I believe, and he had planned that trip, he said, beforehand. And it was a point of some dispute with his wife, some argument, some disagreement, he later explained.
They learn Rosemary's husband isn't only with his relatives, he's with another woman.
His traveling companion was a 22-year-old woman by the name of Leslie Stewart. Obviously, that raises everybody's suspicion to some degree. At the time, the suggestion, of course, between the lines was that this was not a perfect marriage if there was a girlfriend involved.
Robert met Leslie Stewart while both worked as customer service agents at a phone sex and psychic hotline.
Probably within a couple of weeks after I met her, we were having sex every day, either in the back parking lot at work, in her car, or in the bathroom at work.
Back in Florida, detectives officially search the condo. They find a collection of used cleaning products and painting supplies, items that were purchased the morning after Rosemary's disappearance at a nearby Walmart by Robert Temple using Rosemary's credit card. At At the time, detectives report that Rosemary's husband, Robert Temple, is cooperating and has agreed to return to Florida for further questioning.
We've said before that he is not a suspect. He has the understanding we'd like to speak to him.
Authorities don't name Temple a suspect because solid evidence linking him to Rosemary's disappearance hasn't been discovered. Also, it seems possible Temple really doesn't know what happened to his wife. Temple left messages for her on their home answering machine, and he even left her a note.
Dear Rose, I was hoping to see you before I left, but I decided to go ahead and go today instead of waiting until tomorrow. Tried phoning and beeping you, but guess you were out of range. Wish you could have gone with me, but maybe next time. Take care, and I'll be back on Tuesday. I love you, lady, Rob. And then in the bottom of the note, he said, also, the tile guy said he could do it next week once we got all the painting done. Promise me you'll like this shade of white this time. Ha ha. Rosemary and I had recently been at her home, and she had never mentioned to me anything about getting tile. The whole note was bogus, designed to put the sheriff's off into a missing persons search.
I didn't believe any of it for a minute. I knew he had done something to Rosemary, and it wasn't going to be good.
Why are Rosemary's friends so convinced Robert has done something terrible to his wife? When Robert Temple's criminal records surface, revealing a violent past, their concerns only escalate. On September 26, 1999, Tampa Bay area realtor Rosemary Christensen disappears.
This was a big deal. It was a big deal because Rosemary Christensen was a well-liked, if not loved, realtor who had a lot of friends and coworkers who cared a great deal about her.
Police hope her husband, Robert G. Temple, can help them locate Rosemary. But her best friends think something horrible has happened. Their suspicions stem from incidents of alleged verbal and physical abuse involving her husband.
When Rosemary and I first started talking about the abuse that was mainly the verbal that was bothering her, Robert would say stuff about her weight, just hurtful things. I think as the relationship got strained, it escalated.
She told me about one incident in a townhouse they lived at, and that he had hit her.
The incident occurred on the night of July 14th, 1997, in Clearwater, Florida. According to police records and these photographs, Rosemary sustained injuries to her cheek and eye. But her husband Robert claims it was all an accident.
Rose was up, opening the door, right as I tripped over a box and hit the door and knocked her back, and I'm still falling forward in the door. It cut her eye right here. It split her eye. I mean, it was bleeding like there's no tomorrow.
Temple was arrested for domestic battery, but Rosemary asked for the charges to be dropped, and Temple pleaded no contest to disorderly conduct. Despite the incident, Rosemary and Robert marry 3 weeks later.
Robert continued to tell her, I'll change. I'm sorry. I won't do it again.
Abuser's first defense is to say, oh, it was an accident. And in some ways, it was a plausible excuse, except when you add up all these things together, it just didn't look good.
As the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office continues to wait for Temple's return from Illinois, his record of criminal offenses surfaces in the local media. In 1996, just over a year before marrying Rosemary, Temple pleaded guilty to domestic battery of his previous wife in Decatur, Illinois. He claims the incident was an unfortunate misunderstanding.
My wife and I were kind of drunk, and we were on the front porch. I started to go off, and I grabbed her, and we both went off into the bushes. Her mom saw that, called the police on me.
That wasn't Temple's only brush with the law. He served about 5 years in prison back in 1975 for involuntary manslaughter in the violent death of a girlfriend's 18-month-old child. Temple says someone else killed the child, but he took the rap.
He clearly had a violent past.
1 week after Rosemary's disappearance, and the morning after her 44th birthday, her husband Robert finally returns for questioning. He later joins the detectives at the condo. The local press is also on the scene.
And at our request, they agreed to ask him to come out and talk to us in the pool area of the condominium. So as he walked up to us, I believe every one of us had a whole lot of questions we wanted to ask him.
Can you tell us when you first found out how it all started from the beginning?
They called me in Illinois and told me that I needed to call where Rose worked because they said she was missing.
It was clear that he was presenting himself as a man who was in great anguish over the fate of his wife.
Rose and I haven't been apart this long since we've been married. God, I miss her so bad. I just want her back. Please, if anybody's seen Rose, know where she's at, please. Just tell her, just call, just please let us know.
When Rosemary's best friend Laurel sees the interview, she's immediately dubious.
His hands were trembling and he was crying, but there were no tears.
I believe that would really happen.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone try to work up a tear as hard as he did that day and failed to do so.
Not buying the emotion, Douglas asks Temple some tougher questions.
Sir, pardon the directness of my question, but have detectives asked you whether you killed your wife?
Yes.
And what did you tell them?
I told them no. I could never hurt Rose. I'd rather be dead than anything ever happened to her.
As the interview continues, Temple reveals he last saw his wife the night of her disappearance at around 7 o'clock, an hour and a half after she left her client that day. He says she left home to meet some people he didn't know, but that he didn't expect her to return that evening. Why? Away from the cameras, he drops a bombshell.
They lived an alternative lifestyle, he said. They were swingers.
To reporters, it seems plausible, but Rosemary's closest friends dispute the swinger story.
Rosemary would have never gotten involved in anything shady or along that line, much less swinging.
She was not a swinger. She was not that type of person.
You know, there's always two sides to every story, but it certainly seems complete polar opposite of the Rosemary that I knew. But from what I saw, it didn't seem to jive.
Reporter Mark Douglas investigated the story, but cannot substantiate Temple's claims.
I don't think anyone, especially not myself, ever found any evidence to prove that. On the other hand, I believe there was a lot of evidence that Mr. Temple and his girlfriend at the time, Leslie Stewart, lived that lifestyle.
Meanwhile, detectives have reportedly found blood traces on a piece of carpet from the condo. Surprisingly, Temple acknowledges the blood was most likely Rosemary's.
He said that his wife accidentally cut herself, and he cut the square out of the carpet because he couldn't get the blood out of it.
Temple says Rosemary's injury came from a fall onto her knee at work, exactly 1 week earlier.
It wasn't a scratch. Rosemary fell down a couple of times. That's how bad she hurt her leg, because it had really bled. But she said that what hurt her worse was her colleagues walking past her and nobody offering to help her.
Rosemary's boss, Jeff Beggins, doesn't remember it that way.
I actually bandaged it up with a Band-Aid, and it was a minor scrape, if anything.
Kathy McKinnon remembers another detail from that day, which she subsequently tells police.
After she had fallen and we had gotten everything fixed and stuff, she was outside smoking a cigarette, and she came right up to me. She said, "Kathy, do you think that Robert is plotting to kill me?"
It's an ominous statement, but still does not tie Robert Temple to Rosemary's disappearance.
If you talk to any other Rose's colleagues, Rose did not share her personal life. Trust me, I would have known that. I do not believe that she just walked up out of the clear blue and said that to this woman. That, I believe, is a falsehood and a lie.
After the press conference, Temple goes on with his day. Although the Pinellas County sheriffs still don't name him a suspect, the local press doggedly pursues him and his girlfriend, Leslie Stewart. After days of media scrutiny, he and Stewart meet with an attorney for help dealing with the press. But the lawyer advises the couple to retain separate counsel. And Leslie is referred to defense attorney Jay Hebert. What Hebert is about to learn might just be the big break investigators have been hoping for. But he won't be able to reveal anything for 9 long years. It's been almost 1 full week since Tampa Bay realtor Rosemary Christensen was last seen. Police have searched her home and questioned her husband, Robert Temple, but they have no suspects or evidence to solve her disappearance. The local press shadows the husband and his girlfriend, Leslie Stewart. But eventually, the couple tires of the attention and seeks legal representation to handle the media. Leslie Stewart meets with local attorney Jay Hebert.
For the time, we engaged in an attorney-client conversation, and we listened to everything she had to say, and we did everything we could to represent her the best we could at the time.
What Stewart discusses with Hebert remains confidential, and after their meeting, Hebert never expects to hear from Stewart again. "10 days after Rosemary's disappearance, leads are scarce. To keep the case alive, Rosemary's boss, Jeff Beggins, offers a reward for Rosemary's safe return.
We're taking that into our own hands, making sure that we're doing everything that we can because she's one of our own, and we're not going to rest until she's found.
We put up a $10,000 cash reward. Dollar bills, loose lips, a lot quicker than going in with a gold badge and asking questions and interviews.
After volunteers distribute flyers throughout the area, people come forward and offer private investigator Dick Price some new information.
In probably 1 week, maybe 10 days, I received about 13 to 15 phone calls. There were some people that, boy, they would have liked to have collected that $10,000, but they didn't know enough to put the nail in the coffin.
Over 1 month passes. Rosemary is still missing, without a trace. Her husband rents a moving van and packs up all of their belongings.
I had the condo under surveillance when I came across Robert with a large Penske moving truck. I sat and observed and saw Robert bringing out items and loading the van up.
Temple leaves town with Leslie Stewart.
They got away scot-free. They absolutely had no problems packing up Rosemary's belongings, getting out of town.
Because authorities don't have strong enough evidence, they cannot detain either Temple or Stewart.
When he left, there really wasn't much more to say about this, and the story more or less died down.
Meanwhile, Temple and Stewart travel around the country. They finally settle over 3,000 miles away from Bel Air, Florida, in the Northern California city of Redding. The pair has a child in 2005. But back in Florida, Rosemary's friend Laurel thinks the couple and their secrets will eventually come unglued.
Knowing what a control freak he was, I knew that either he was going to kill Leslie or he was going to threaten her one too many times and she was going to come forward.
The relationship does unravel when Temple allegedly threatens Leslie on August 25th, 2008.
This all happened to coincide right around the 9th anniversary of Rosemary's disappearance. Almost 9 years to the date, Leslie was preparing to go to this family reunion in Washington State. Before she left, Mr. Temple pulled this rather large knife, put it to her throat, and said, "If you say anything, or if you talk about this, I'll kill you, and I'll kill myself, and I'll kill our daughter."
Temple denies Stewart's story.
Leslie, off the top of her head, fabricated that about me pulling a knife on her and putting it to her throat and threatening her. It's really simple. None of the incident happened.
While visiting her family 10 days later, Stewart allegedly tells them about her recent spat with Temple. She decides the only way to change her situation is to get police involved. On September 3rd, 2008, Stewart sets her plan into motion. She calls someone she hasn't spoken to for 9 years, attorney Jay Hebert.
And Leslie said, "Hi, Jay, it's Leslie Stewart. Do you remember me?" And candidly, the name didn't just jump off the page at me, but then the next line did. And she said, about 9 years ago, and immediately at that point in time, the 9 years, I put 2 and 2 together. And I realized that I was talking to my client, who I had not had a conversation with in 9 years. And I was really curious as to why she was calling.
Now, all these years later, Stewart tells Hebert she wants to come forward and reveal the secrets of Rosemary Christensen's whereabouts. Her information will break the case wide open. Tampa Bay realtor Rosemary Christensen has been missing since August 26, 1999. But 9 years later, authorities are about to get a huge break in what's become a cold case. It comes from Leslie Stewart, the girlfriend of Rosemary's husband, Robert Temple. She calls attorney J. Hebert and tells him she wants to turn Temple in.
She had told me for the very first time in almost 9 years that she had had an opportunity to be away from Mr. Temple for an extended period of time, and that she was ready to come forward and explain the details of Rosemary's disappearance.
Stewart gives Hebert the same information she gave him the last time they spoke. A story that's haunted him, that he's kept confidential for 9 years. The reason?
In any legal situation, when a client comes in and consults with an attorney, the attorney-client privilege applies. And what that means loosely is that whatever a client tells a lawyer should be kept in confidence, and that we cannot reveal that information to anyone for any reason, unless, of course, later the client waives that privilege.
Now, Stewart does waive the privilege and allows Hebert to get the police involved. She will reveal what happened to Rosemary Christensen. On September 3rd, 2008, Pinellas County Sheriff's detectives fly across country to secretly interview Stewart at her family reunion just south of Seattle. Leslie Stewart tells the detectives, on the night of Rosemary's disappearance, August 26, 1999, that Robert Temple called her multiple times, insisting that she come to his condo as soon as possible. She arrives to allegedly find Temple drunk and making strange statements.
One of the things was that he had been involved in a child manslaughter out of state. Additionally, he advised her that there was no such thing as the Witness Protection Program, another somewhat bizarre out-of-left-field comment.
As Stewart wonders what Temple is talking about, he leads her into the bedroom he shares with his wife, Rosemary. Stewart is stunned by what she sees.
Leslie Stewart saw Rosemary Christensen laying in a pool of blood. She wasn't breathing, her eyes were shut, and it was quite obvious that Rosemary was deceased.
According to police records, Temple tells Stewart that he was sitting in front of his computer when Rosemary, who he thought was asleep, snuck up from behind and hit him on the head with the butt end of a large knife. Temple tells Stewart he and his wife struggled and that he accidentally stabbed Rosemary.
It was at that point in time that Leslie compounded the situation by making some bad decisions. She helped with the cover-up. She helped dispose of the body, and she continued with the cover-up story that Robert Temple had come up with. She did all of this because she was scared of Robert Temple.
Stewart's story is the break police have been hoping for. But before they can arrest Robert Temple for Rosemary's murder, they must first locate the only evidence in the case, Rosemary's body, and Stewart must lead them to it. But they worry about how Temple will react if he learns of Stewart's activities.
We did not want Mr. Temple to get nervous about her not coming back or returning phone calls. There was concern that Mr. Temple had actually threatened to kill Leslie, and then he would kill their daughter, and then he would kill himself.
Police in Redding, California arrest Temple for making the threats 10 days earlier. But Temple denies the allegations.
She is so treacherous and vicious, you have no idea. She told the police 10 days after the incident was supposed to happen with the knife. 10 days later, no human being that I know would wait 10 days. Why didn't she drive straight to the police? It's because it was a damn lie to begin with, that's why.
While Temple is in police custody, and the couple's 3-year-old daughter is with Child Protective Services. Stewart flies to Florida with Pinellas County detectives. She takes them to property along the Suwannee River in the north-central region of Gilchrist County, Florida.
Leslie was fortunate that she was able to take them to the area where the body was buried and located.
Just as Leslie had told J.A. Baer 9 years before, investigators find Rosemary's body stuffed in a green plastic tub, like the one listed on the Walmart receipt. Shortly after the discovery, police in California charged Temple with first-degree murder of his wife, Rosemary Christensen. Rosemary's family and friends are saddened, but relieved to hear the news. Finally, after so many years, they learn what they believe to be the truth.
The family and I knew years ago that he had killed her.
I always knew that someday he was going to slip up because he wasn't that smart.
Temple has been extradited back to Pinellas County, Florida, to face murder charges. But he says they've got the wrong person.
I did help dispose of Rosemary's body. I did help cover up that crime. Those are very serious felonies, too. I deserve to be punished for what I did, and I won't lie about that. But I did not kill Rosemary, and I don't deserve to be punished for that.
Temple says it was Leslie who killed Rosemary. According to his story, Leslie was at the condo waiting for him to come home to have a secret tryst. But Rosemary came home first. Temple says Leslie pretended she was there to pick up a computer disk, but Rosemary didn't believe her.
She said she turned around to leave, and out of the corner of her eye, she said Rose attacked her. Then they started struggling, pulling hair. When she was wrestling around with Rose, Rose knocked her back on the bed. Rose was on top of her, and they rolled so hard that they rolled right off the edge of the bed onto the floor. When they landed, Rose hit the floor first. Leslie was on top of her, and she thought Rose had knocked herself out because she wasn't moving anymore. But when she got up, she saw the knife sticking in Rose.
Well, let's just look at it simply. He was 9 years ago declaring and promising that he had nothing to do with it. So it goes to show you what a liar he is. So I'm going to believe what he's got to say now.
I would submit to you that Robert Temple is a desperate man who has spent a life manipulating individuals, and he is desperately trying to manipulate this situation.
For her part, Stewart may receive immunity from prosecution in a deal struck with the state attorney's office.
We hammered out, in essence, a gentleman's agreement. The gentleman's agreement dealt with 3 primary issues. Number 1, that she testified truthfully. Number 2, that she had nothing to do with the actual homicide. And number 3, and probably most importantly, is that she helped produce or find Rosemary's body.
Rosemary's friends feel a sense of closure, but they're also eager to see Robert Temple punished.
Should it be death or should it be life in prison? I'm almost swaying now towards life in prison because, from what I understand, those circumstances are not the most pleasant.
Robert Temple looks forward to his day in court, where he will be able to face his accuser, the woman who he claims is Rosemary's killer.
But I'll be damned if I'm just going to lay down and die until people know the truth. Honestly, I believe that I'm going to be found not guilty. And I know a lot of people think that I did something bad to her, but I didn't. And that's the honest to God truth. And it just because Leslie and I stayed together doesn't mean that I forgot about Rose. I never forgot about Rose. I've got her picture now in my billfold the whole 9 years that we were gone. I always carried a picture of Rose. I always did.
As Rosemary's friends' lives go on, they carry their memories of Rosemary deep in their hearts.
Rosemary was the most kind, loyal, devoted person She didn't deserve to have this end. And as again, I'm glad, I'm very, that it's all over and she's happy.
Brittany Drexel disappeared on April 25th, 2009. When a person disappears without a trace, often the most critical information is hidden in their actions and words from the days before they vanished. Brittany Drexel's last known whereabouts may hold the clues to what happened to her. A teenager from Rochester, New York sneaks away for spring break without her parents' permission.
Brittany, she liked to play both of us. You know, if mom said no, dad said yes.
Being a 100-pound, pretty teenage girl, that's not an area where you want to be by yourself.
While walking back to her hotel, she suddenly vanishes.
I knew something was wrong. I knew that there was a problem of 30 minutes going by without talking to her.
Have recent problems at home pushed her to the breaking point?
That was a warning that I need help.
What or who could have led Brittany so far from home?
Where's my little girl? Is my little girl being tortured? Did my little girl get hurt?
I met Brittany, I believe I was 15, she was 14. We became best friends, got to know each other, and been so close ever since.
She used to like to joke around a lot, laugh. Just her smile just made you smile back.
She was such a fun-loving girl and just smiling all the time.
April 22nd, 2009. It's spring break for high school students in Rochester, New York. And with a long winter barely behind them, 17-year-old Brittany Drexel is ready for some warm sunshine. It's a long-standing rite of passage in the Rochester area for high school seniors to spend part of the week-long break in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Just kids, no parental supervision.
There was about 30 to 40 kids going down to Myrtle Beach, and it's kind of a tradition for them to go down there. It's just like any other tourist area. You got hotels, you got shops. Those kids are going down there, drinking, doing drugs, partying, going out to night spots, and laying out on the beach.
Brittany, a high school junior, is friendly with some older kids who ask her to join them for the trip down to Myrtle Beach.
She had asked me if she could go to Myrtle Beach, and I had told her no. And I also told her, you need to talk to your father. I know he wouldn't have allowed her to go, but, you know, she still needed to talk to both of us. And, you know, Brittany, she liked to play both of us. If mom said no, dad said yes.
Dawn and Chad Drexel have recently decided to divorce. Their separation has taken a toll on Brittany and her two siblings.
That Tuesday, Dawn called, 8-ish or something at night. Said, your daughter's not listening to me. She's bringing up the spring break. She wants to go down.
According to Chad, Brittany had recently been sleeping late and skipping school. In his mind, it was no time for her to be going on vacation without parental supervision.
So I told her, Brittany, what's going on? Where are you telling your mother that you want to go to spring break? You're not going anywhere. Silence. She didn't say nothing. Do you understand me, Brittany? Yeah.
The next afternoon, Wednesday, the dispute continues. Brittany is so upset, she storms out of the house. She calls her boyfriend, John Greco, and asks him to pick her up. John, who has been dating Brittany on and off for over 2 years, knows how much Brittany wants to get away for spring break.
Her junior year was a tough year for her. She was dealing with her family being in a divorce. Any problem that me and her would have would escalate the anxiety that she was carrying.
Brittany's close friend Tara has seen how hard junior year has been for her classmate.
She just wanted to hang out with her friends, just not have to stay home. She wanted to go away for spring break. She wanted to just be able to have fun for a week outside of Rochester.
In the months before her disappearance, Brittany has had her share of problems. She overdosed twice on her mom's pain medication. Both times are after a major breakup with John. Brittany's father believes she was feeling the strain of her parents' divorce as well.
In my heart, I felt like this is all my fault because I left the house and now all these things are happening. I went straight to the hospital. They pumped her. She didn't take as many as everyone thought. But that was a warning that I need help.
I could remember the look on her face. Her face was just all red and she was just crying. Tears were just coming down her face. And I looked at her and I said, Britt, why would you do this? Why? Nothing in life is that bad to do this.
Brittany began seeing a counselor and eventually reconciled with John. This kind of troubling behavior was unusual for her. Brittany had been a carefree child. She talked about becoming a nurse and was also passionate about soccer.
She was just the fastest on that field, no matter what team she played. It's the one thing that every coach always said was, I've never seen a girl that fast.
Brittany, she's energetic, happy-go-lucky. She was the type of person that would walk into a room, no matter if it was the most depressing day of the week, she would light up that room.
But Brittany's fun-loving spirit is dampened on Wednesday, April 22nd, when her mother refuses her request to go to Myrtle Beach for spring break. Brittany vents to her boyfriend, John, after leaving the house in a huff.
When Brittany had told her mom that she wanted to go to South Carolina, her mom, obviously being a parent, said, no way, you're not going to South Carolina. You're 17 years old. And Brittany retaliated. She got into a fight with her mom. Brittany gave me a call. I came and picked her up and took her to her friend's house.
Later that day, Brittany makes one last request to go to Myrtle Beach.
Well, she had to call and apologized how she acted that day. She says, Mom, can I go to Myrtle Beach? And I told her no. And she goes, why? And I said, Brittany, because first of all, I don't know the people that you're going with. I said, there's no parents. And I said, something's gonna happen. And I said, I don't want anything to happen to you.
Brittany then proposes a new idea for her spring break. She asks her mother if she can spend the rest of her vacation at a friend's house nearby. Her mother agrees. Brittany promises to stay in touch by cell phone over the next few days. But in reality, Brittany makes very different plans, which she shares with her boyfriend, John.
She said, you know, a bunch of my friends want me to go down to Myrtle Beach with them. And I told her, I think it's a good idea. I think you can get away from Rochester. I think it would do you good if you go down to South Carolina for 3 days. Because really, in my eyes, what was going to happen in 3 days?
Coming up, Brittany's boyfriend's words come back to haunt him.
I knew something was wrong. I knew that there was a problem of 30 minutes going by without talking to her.
Days before 17-year-old Brittany Drexel disappears, she has an emotional fight with her mother, Dawn, who has refused to let her go to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina for spring break. Frustrated, Brittany asks to spend the rest of her vacation instead with a friend who lives nearby her home in Rochester, New York. Her mother agrees. But Brittany has no intention of staying in upstate New York. She decides to make the trip to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, over 14 hours and 6 states away. She visits her boyfriend John at work before leaving.
It's a difficult memory for me to think about because I had that running in the back of my head, just as everybody does when they're saying goodbye to somebody for a period of time. I think, you know, what if this is the last time I see them? What if something happens? But then I pushed those thoughts to the side and thought, it's only 3 days.
Brittany leaves Rochester with 4 other friends Wednesday night, hoping to be at the beach by the next morning.
The people that she went down with, I thought were trusting people. I didn't know them personally. She did ask me to come, and I could not go because I had work.
Over the next few days, Brittany and John are in constant contact via cell phone, sometimes texting several times an hour. She tells him that she is staying at a hotel on the beach called the Bar Harbor Hotel.
While she was down there, her first few texts were, "This weather is incredible." I mean, there's palm trees, being out by the ocean, it was incredible.
But it isn't only the soft sand and inviting water that entice Brittany and her friends. With an abundance of bars and clubs, the area is a paradise for high schoolers enjoying independence for the first time. While the drinking age is 21, many of the clubs allow kids as young as 17 to enter.
The bars and the clubs down in Myrtle Beach, it's more based around money. They can get tons of teenagers to come in, and if they turn the blind eye to the fact that they're 16, 17 years old, they're still gonna make the money.
Brittany takes full advantage of her spring break freedom. She tells her mom that she's watching movies at her friend's house in Rochester, while sharing with John that she is having an amazing vacation hundreds of miles away.
She was having a ton of fun. She was out having a good time, living the spring break life. She was with a bunch of her friends, having a good time.
But by the second day, all that changes. Brittany starts feeling alienated from her friends.
Brittany had told me that they were using a lot of drugs. She wasn't into the drug scene, and therefore she tried to exclude herself from that, and she tried doing things on her own. She walked to the restaurant by herself. She walked down to the beach by herself. Clearly, being in South Carolina, being a 100-pound, pretty teenage girl, that's not an area where you want to be by yourself.
Early Friday evening, Brittany runs into a male friend from Rochester. 20-year-old Peter Brozowitz works for several local Rochester nightclubs. He's staying with some friends at the Blue Water Resort in Myrtle Beach, just a mile away from Brittany's hotel.
Peter Brozowitz was a kid who I didn't know personally, but Brittany did. He was always out at the parties at the clubs, so we became acquaintances through just the parties and knowing the same people. I assumed, being a good friend to Brittany, that he would watch over her.
On Saturday afternoon, Brittany's mom and sister, thinking that Brittany is at her friend's house in Rochester, call to say that they just bought her a new pair of soccer cleats. They ask about her plans that day, now that the weather has suddenly shot up into the 80s, unusually warm for Rochester in April.
I asked her where she is, and she says I'm at the beach. Now, it was a decent day here in Rochester, and I thought she was at Charlotte Beach.
Charlotte Beach in Rochester is just 20 minutes from Brittany's house. Dawn still believes that Brittany is nearby and is being supervised by her friend's parents.
I had talked to her and also had to talk to a parent. She had put someone on the phone, I don't know who that was, and, said that it was okay for Brittany to stay there. And I asked Brittany what she had planned on doing later. And she said, well, we're gonna go over to my friend's house and we're just gonna watch movies and not do too much of anything.
Brittany tells her mom that she'll return home the next day and thanks her for letting her spend the past few days with her friends.
She goes, I'll see you tomorrow, and then I love you. And I said, okay, I love you too. And then we hung up.
A seemingly normal conversation will soon take on tragic significance. It becomes the last time Dawn talks to her daughter before she disappears. Meanwhile, Brittany decides to meet up with her friend Peter. Before she goes, she borrows a pair of shorts from one of her friends. At around 8 o'clock, Brittany texts John en route to meet Peter at the Blue Water Resort. She continues to report that she is having a miserable time and that she is looking forward to coming home the next day.
She hated being down there, and she didn't like the people she went down with.
Shortly after arriving at the Blue Water Resort, Brittany receives a text from her friend saying she wants her shorts back so she can wear them that night. Annoyed, Brittany tells Peter she has to walk back to her hotel, which is over a mile down the road. She texts John as she leaves.
And it was, I can't wait to come home. I can't wait to see you. I'm so angry at everybody down here. I said, I think that you should have a good time. Just try to relax. It's your last night. Try to enjoy it. You're down there anyways. You might as well try to enjoy it before you come home and get back to school.
Brittany and John text each other as she leaves the Blue Water Resort. But then, something strange happens. She stops responding to his messages.
I knew that something was up about 10 to 20 minutes later, but a half an hour later was when I really began to start freaking out. Me and Brittany talked every 10 minutes on the phone. I knew something was wrong. I knew that there was a problem of 30 minutes going by without talking to her.
An hour later, John is worried. He threatens to tell her mom the truth about where Brittany really is if she doesn't text him back.
I called Brittany and there was no response. So I texted her and I said, if she didn't get in contact with me, I was gonna call her mom. And I was gonna break the news to the family that she was down in South Carolina. A couple minutes went by, she didn't text me back, didn't call me back.
Meanwhile, Dawn Drexel, Brittany's mother, is just returning home after having dinner with a few friends when she gets the call from John.
Her mom said, I'm gonna kill her. Like, there's no way that she went behind my back and did this without letting me know about it. And she was initially very angry, as any parent would be if they found out their kid was 14 hours away.
It wasn't registering until it started to sink in and I was thinking about it. Well, my heart dropped. I mean, what do you mean you can't find my daughter? And I started freaking out.
As soon as Dawn gets off the phone with John, she desperately tries to get in touch with Brittany.
When we were first texting her and calling her that night that she went missing, it would keep ringing and ringing and ringing, and then it started just to go to voicemail.
When I finished up work, it was 11 o'clock at night, and I got in my car and I headed right to Brittany's house. And I walked in the door and the whole family was sitting at the table, and I sat down and started to explain what happened.
Dawn calls the Rochester police, but they can't do much from upstate New York. So John reaches out to a friend of Brittany's in North Carolina, who drives straight to Myrtle Beach to file a missing persons report with local police. Meanwhile, Brittany's family and friends continue trying to reach her by phone, but each call goes straight to voicemail. The next morning, Brittany's mom, boyfriend, grandparents, and 2 friends head down to Myrtle Beach to search for Brittany, while her father, Chad, looks after her siblings.
Here I am driving down to Myrtle Beach, and I am just beside myself, thinking, how could this happen to my daughter? Where is she? Am I going to be able to find her?
Coming up, investigators get a break when they discover surveillance footage that could help them find the missing teen. 17-year-old Brittany Drexel has slipped off to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina for spring break, unbeknownst to her parents. At about 9 p.m., Saturday, April 25th, she's walking to her hotel while texting her boyfriend John, when suddenly her texts stop. Brittany is not seen or heard from again. Myrtle Beach Police Lieutenant Joseph Kapp and Detective Vincent Dorio head the investigation. As police begin the search for Brittany, her mother, her boyfriend John, her grandparents, and 2 friends are still en route from Rochester, New York to Myrtle Beach.
Trip down to South Carolina, I don't think anybody slept. It was extremely difficult because we knew that we're going down there to search for Brittany missing. It almost was a step out of reality. It was almost like this couldn't be happening.
Brittany has been missing about 12 hours. Myrtle Beach police launch an intensive search, fanning out in all directions from the hotel where Brittany was last seen. They canvass beaches and local hotels, looking for possible leads. Police find the friends with whom Brittany traveled from Rochester. They tell detectives they haven't been able to reach her since she disappeared and have no idea where she could be. When Brittany's mother meets with Myrtle Beach investigators, they ask her about Brittany's home life.
They thought she ran away. And I know my daughter didn't run away. I mean, she was going to be 18. She felt like she was a grown-up. She was also looking at colleges and things like that.
No indication that she did a lot of drinking or anything of that nature while she was here.
Her brother and sister, she loves to death, and she would never leave them. Never up and leave them, willingly.
The morning after Brittany's last contact with her boyfriend, John, Myrtle Beach police are still hopeful this case will resolve quickly, like so many other spring break missing persons cases.
Especially with kids, they'll go and sit on the beach and talk. They lose track of time is generally what happens.
Detective Dorio and Lieutenant Cap begin to work a lead. They learn that Peter Brozowitz, the young man Brittany went to see the night before, left town with his buddies at about 2 a.m. that morning, about 5 hours after Brittany vanished.
It appeared that they had left suddenly in the night. They had forgotten clothing and they didn't get a deposit. And I mean, these contributing factors appeared to be very, very suspicious.
As soon as Peter arrives back in Rochester, he is quick to acquire the representation of a criminal defense attorney. Investigators begin piecing together Brittany's last hours. On the way from her hotel to visit Peter and his friends at the Blue Water Resort, a traffic camera captures her walking and texting at about 8:15 p.m.
We do see her, she's walking alone and using her phone. And we verify that she was calling the people that she was going to visit to try and find the location of the motel.
According to Peter, Brittany left his room shortly after she arrived to go back to her hotel and return the pair of shorts to her friend. Detective Dorio checks the surveillance tapes of the Blue Water Resort. They verify Peter's story.
We get her going through the motel's front lobby doors, and then a short time later exiting the motel and going northbound towards her motel.
Detective Dorio can now pinpoint the time Brittany left the Blue Water Resort, 8:48 p.m. Police estimate it should have taken Brittany about 15 minutes to reach the traffic camera on the return trip to her hotel.
Reviewing the tape on the traffic camera, we learned that Brittany never made it that far.
Somewhere between the Blue Water Resort and her own hotel, Brittany vanishes. Police continue to question Peter, the last known person to see Brittany Drexel. They're curious about his departure in the middle of the night, shortly after Brittany disappeared.
Peter totally cooperated with us. I mean, yes, he got an attorney, but he and his attorney were straightforward.
Peter tells them one of his friends was pressured by his mother to return to Rochester as soon as possible.
We followed up on all the information, what they told us they had done.
After investigating Peter's story, police find no evidence that he and his friends had anything to do with Brittany's disappearance. Unfortunately, investigators have no other leads on what may have happened to her, but they do obtain Brittany's cell phone records. What they find is not what they expect. The last known location of her cell phone is over an hour away in a very unwelcoming area. Coming up, is Brittany still alive?
It's the most horrific thing you would want to go through as a parent.
While Myrtle Beach police search the city for 17-year-old Brittany Drexel, Detective Vincent Dorio is investigating the last minutes before she disappears. On April 25th, 2009, what should have been the last night of her vacation, Brittany vanishes after visiting her friend Peter at the Blue Water Resort.
She was still in Myrtle Beach.
Graham Moore, a local reporter, has been tracking Brittany's case since her disappearance.
They were in the hotel room. I don't think she was there that long. She got a call from her friend saying, hey, can you bring me back my shorts? She left there, from what I understand. She was texting with her boyfriend.
The Blue Waters surveillance tapes show Brittany leaving at 8:48 p.m. But Brittany never appears on footage from a traffic camera along the way, returning to her hotel. Now, with her cell phone records in hand, detectives hope to learn what happened during those crucial few minutes.
At 8:58, she writes back to John, no, I'm staying in, packing, and going to sleep probably. At that point, John asks, why babe, why boo?
According to Brittany's cell phone records, this exchange with John, her boyfriend back in Rochester, occurs 10 minutes after she leaves the Blue Water Resort. She is supposed to be walking back to her hotel, just over a mile away. But the records show that suddenly, all outbound activity from Brittany's phone stops after this text.
About 9:15, he starts writing back again, hey, why aren't you answering me? I'm concerned. At that point, that's when he starts text messaging her over and over. Where are you? You okay?
John texts some of the friends who traveled with Brittany to see if they can reach her, giving investigators their next lead.
And they start making calls, and that's how we're able to start tracking her as the phone is going southbound.
Anytime one of her friends called Brittany, her cell phone would ping or communicate with the nearest cell phone tower. This tells investigators the approximate location of Brittany's phone at that moment. Although she is supposed to be heading north towards her hotel, at 9:27 p.m., about 30 minutes after her last text, the data reveals that Brittany's phone is heading southbound on Route 17. Her phone is pinging cell towers in an area called Surfside Beach, almost 7 miles south of Myrtle Beach. It would take 2 hours to walk there and about 15 minutes by car.
The phone itself, because we're not sure if she was separated from the phone, was moving at a high enough rate of speed that it was in a vehicle.
Police aren't sure if the cell phone battery then dies or if it gets destroyed. But at 11:58 p.m., just 3 hours after Brittany's last text to John, her phone last pings tower number 332. It's located 2 counties and over 50 miles south of Myrtle Beach, near Georgetown County.
If you look at the timeline of the cell phone, made this 50-mile trek in a relatively short period of time. So it wasn't like it meandered down through the night. That cell phone made a beeline for Georgetown County.
The area is near the North Santee River, around the Pole Yard boat landing. It's an isolated, rural spot.
This right here is off the beaten path. There's nothing but country surrounding this area. The folks that would know it are fishermen or some of the locals from the town of Georgetown, maybe just across the river.
A 17-year-old from Rochester, New York is not going to end up at Pole Yard boat landing on a Saturday night during her spring break. It's a very rural part of the county, surrounded by water.
Myrtle Beach police launched their search here, in the area covered by cell phone tower number 332.
This right here is in the cell phone zone. It's about 4 miles wide, 5 miles deep. They staged here. The searchers then branched out to other likely zones.
The terrain in these parts is notoriously forbidding.
We have alligators in the river. There are wild hogs, plenty of snakes, lots of biting insects. It's not a very hospitable place for anybody to be at.
You can't imagine the conditions searchers had to go through. Flies the size of golf balls. Very hot, very humid, very thick brush. A lot of dangerous wildlife.
After investigators conduct an initial search and find no trace of Brittany, local police and other agencies join forces to expand the effort.
Because of the phone, it goes through Horry, Georgetown, and Charleston County. So we have 3 different large agencies working this together.
Georgetown and Charleston furnished their boats with their sonar, and we checked the rivers. Charleston County had their helicopter there.
They did a massive ground search. They were running their ATVs through there every 20 minutes to get the alligators to back off so the dogs could come through. They had 6 shooters with their dogs because of the boar. I mean, it was just very dangerous.
While investigators comb the area, Dawn and Brittany's other loved ones hold out hope for some sign of Brittany.
There's a lot of questions going through my mind. It's the most horrific thing you would want to go through as a parent.
It was very intense. There were long days. There was a lot of ground covered. There was a lot of hope in the beginning that something was going to be found. It was about a week long of just intense searching, hundreds of volunteers out there, looking for that cell phone, looking for any clue of Brittany.
Monica Kaysen, director of the Q Center for Missing Persons, a family advocacy group that assembles volunteer search parties, is called in to help.
We were going in the first 11 days that Brittany disappeared. We searched sun up to sundown every day. All of the probable areas that people enter, the probable areas someone could have pulled offside the road, dirt roads with nobody lives on them at all.
Authorities know that the treacherous wildlife gives Brittany a slim chance of survival.
The urgency was there to get her before the wild animals did.
You know, there's always going to be hope. But while we're doing these searches, we certainly had numerous cadaver dogs.
When they had been doing the search, they had told me, they said if she's in this area, she would have been ate within 6 hours. You know, and I felt like they're thinking she's not alive, which scared me even more. I mean, you become frantic. I mean, you never think of your child going before you do.
The search teams find no sign of Brittany. Investigators continue combing the area and looking for leads, while Brittany's family and friends return to Rochester.
Coming home without Brittany was very, very difficult. I came home, her little brother Camden came over to my house and he goes, "I thought you were bringing Britt home." And I just looked at him and I was like, "I'm so sorry. She's not with me." Her little brother and her little sister asked me, "Where is she? Why isn't she with you?" And being as young as they are, it's hard to tell them answers.
I came back home and I walked upstairs and I had her pictures up. I had her clothes folded on my bed. I had like all of her stuff still reminding me it's not a dream. It's not made up in my imagination. Brittany's really missing.
Where's my little girl? Is my little girl being tortured? Did my little girl get hurt and die? If that happened, how do I explain it to my little one? How do I do that? That Daddy can keep you safe from that. How do I do that? I just tell her that I will be here for you, that I'm not going to leave any of you guys.
Coming up, the investigation into Brittany's disappearance seems completely stalled until 8 months after she goes missing, when a potential clue finally emerges.
A week-long search for missing spring breaker Brittany Drexel turned up a possible piece of evidence in her disappearance.
It has been close to 8 months since 17-year-old Brittany Drexel vanished while on spring break in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Police have no promising leads in the case. Finally, in mid-December, investigators get a tip. It prompts them to search an area just north of where they had previously traced Brittany's cell phone. They scour the banks of the Santee River, surrounded by swamps and alligators.
The Georgetown County had asked us to check out an area that was a tip called in. We went over there to check it out. During that search, we were notified that the sunglasses were found.
While combing the area, authorities get an intriguing lead. A pair of sunglasses that could be Brittany's is spotted on the muddy embankment of the Santee River.
On the second day of that search, a man and his wife were on a boat. They had docked along the riverbank there, went to collect some firewood and came across a pair of sunglasses. They had seen the night before on the news that searchers were out there looking for a missing girl, and they thought it was odd, the place that they found these sunglasses. They found these sunglasses on a pretty desolate part of the riverbank. Investigators were pretty hopeful when they found them.
Brittany's mom wants to believe that the glasses could be her daughter's.
I had seen what the sunglasses look like, and I know Brittany had gotten a pair for Easter.
But others are skeptical they belong to Brittany.
I don't recognize them. It doesn't mean that when she was down there, she didn't buy them.
It was months and months after her disappearance. So why all of a sudden are glasses showing up there that don't have all the mud, all the weathered activity on it, the leaves, the branches, all that? It could just be they had hikers and someone lost them out of their backpack.
Since the sunglasses turn up a few miles from where the teams have resumed searching, those close to Brittany's case question whether the appearance of this potential clue might be calculated.
Someone may have put them there that has been getting some heat from the authorities and wanted to try to bring the search elsewhere from this property or this area to this area now.
Were they meant to be found? I feel confident that, if someone did put them there, that they wanted to be found.
Investigators send the glasses to forensics for testing.
They sent them off to see if they could collect DNA off of them to make any sort of match. And from what I've been told, there was no DNA on the glasses. Again, another dead end for Dawn Drexel and Brittany's family.
In early April, a few weeks before the one-year anniversary of Brittany's disappearance, police announced that they have identified 3 to 4 persons of interest in the case.
The people that we're looking at, I feel really good about. All of our little pieces of evidence, they haven't been tied in yet, but they're all pointing in the same direction, towards certain people.
Detectives will not reveal more information, yet they say they now believe this is no longer a missing persons case, but a homicide. However, Detective Dorio still needs more to file charges.
It's just a matter of time now before everything gets put together and we can say, yes, here's a solid arrest.
While investigators continue pursuing the case, Dawn Drexel has her own theory and believes Brittany may have been abducted.
I think Brittany's still alive. I think somebody's holding her against her will. I've heard a lot about human trafficking. Anybody can be a trafficker. That person could be somebody that you meet and become friends with. It could be somebody that promises you, a modeling career, or you can make this much money, or anything.
If you know Brittany, if you're close to Brittany, you gotta watch out for her. You cannot let her just walk around by herself because she thinks that nothing can hurt her. She's too trusting of people, and you need to watch out for her.
However, authorities are skeptical that this is a human trafficking case.
We've got no indication. We've had no history. Most of your human trafficking, they target victims where there's a language barrier, and generally where human trafficking takes place, it continues to take place. We've had nothing prior or since that would be an indicator.
Human trafficking in South Carolina is not a problem that I know about, at least. Being from South Carolina, you never hear about human trafficking.
We can't eliminate it, but it's certainly not at the forefront of our investigation.
In an effort to generate new leads in the investigation, police released to the media a new and important piece of evidence.
There is some new information in the disappearance of a New York teenager who vanished nearly a year ago on a spring.
A video of Brittany Drexel, shot just 24 hours before she disappeared.
Hey, Brett.
What?
A college student from the Midwest, who had also been vacationing in Myrtle Beach, shot this video on the night of Friday, April 24th, after befriending Brittany along Ocean Boulevard.
There were some kids that were antagonizing her because she was a really pretty girl. Some kids were yelling at her and antagonizing her. And so she asked some kid, you know, will you walk with me so that they stop yelling towards me?
They talked and they went to her motel room, and he did a short video clip of her while they were talking. And it was confirmed that it was, in fact, Brittany.
Investigators verified that the student has an alibi and has no knowledge of Brittany's whereabouts.
Once he was aware that he had video, he and his family contacted us and relinquished the video to us.
Brittany Drexel has yet to be found.
The video receives national attention.
Now, never-before-seen images have surfaced from the night before she disappeared.
A boy she had met on spring break shot this cell phone video at a hotel.
Unfortunately, nothing emerges that enables police to make an arrest. Back in Rochester, Brittany's loved ones struggle to make some sense out of her disappearance. They try to move on with their lives while honoring Brittany.
At this point, I'm advocating for Brittany, but I'm also trying to get the awareness out to all these parents that think that this could never happen to their child. Teenagers, you know, they think they're invincible and that this could never happen, but these parents need to know that this happens all the time and have them be aware.
I am now studying criminal justice because I want to help find girls who are missing, and I want to be the person who is able to catch that person who has done it. And I'm going to be the best that I can be, so I can be that person that will give those families justice.
Brittany's family and friends do not give up hope that one day they will hear from her again.
We just miss her to our souls and wish her to come home. Obviously, it's my little girl, but this isn't about me. This is about her brother and her sister. They need her. We all need her, but they need her.
We need Britt back home. We really do. I just miss her a lot.
We don't know what happened when she walked out of that hotel and she walked up on that boulevard. Was somebody following her? Was somebody planning on harm my daughter? Just not knowing is the most horrible thing.
After a lifetime of struggle, 22-year-old Jamie Fraley was on the brink of achieving all her life's goals.
She was thriving, and she just seemed like she was really going down a good path.
She was in love and she was very happy.
But then, Jamie misses an important appointment near her Gaston, North Carolina home and is never heard from again.
The day we went into Jamie's apartment and saw her pocketbook and keys, I knew something was wrong.
Did Jamie walk out on her new life?
There was no sign of forced entry or anything, leaving individuals to believe that wherever she had gone willingly.
Or was there a more sinister motive behind her disappearance?
His obsession with Jamie was more sexually in his mind.
Just when police think they're close to cracking the case, a gruesome discovery changes everything.
I did not see anything like this coming.
Gaston, North Carolina is a quiet community located in one of the greenest, resource-rich corners of the country. And for Gaston County native Jamie Fraley, 2008 is shaping up to be the best year of her life. Standing at only 4'9", Jamie seems poised to get everything she's ever wanted.
Jamie was a very small, petite girl, but her personality was like a piece of dynamite.
The diminutive 22-year-old is living on her own and studying to pursue a career she is passionate about.
Jamie wanted to help people that were on drugs, and she thought that she could save the world.
Even better, Jamie has met the boy of her dreams, Ricky Simons Jr.
Jamie loved Ricky so much. Jamie was just Ricky Dale crazy. I mean, she was just head over heels in love with him.
She even refers to herself as Mrs. Simons on her MySpace page.
She was in love and she was very happy. She never let me even think that something was wrong in her life. You know, I just would have never thought that.
But life hadn't always been so happy for Jamie.
Jamie had health issues from the time that she was born. I had a really hard time bringing her into the world, and we both almost died.
Jamie was actually clinically dead when she was born. They had to do CPR on her. Then they said Jamie wouldn't live, and then she made it a year. Then they said she wouldn't make it to 3, and she just beat the odds. She was a miracle.
As she got older, Jamie continued to surpass the doctor's expectations. But she still struggled with health and developmental issues associated with her difficult birth.
She couldn't gain weight for a long time.
She was frail and dependent.
Then, when she turned 18, Jamie was diagnosed as bipolar.
She really didn't take it seriously. She wasn't taking her medicine. She took it at first, and then she told me that it made her feel funny, and she wasn't taking it anymore.
Bipolar disorder, along with her other health issues, made it difficult for Jamie to pass her driver's license test. And so she felt she had no choice but to live at home with her mother.
Jamie depended on me for everything because, you know, she had had so many issues in her life.
But as she got older, Jamie longed for independence. And when she turns 21, she sets out to get it.
When she got older and she was on Social Security supplementary income, Jamie was assigned a provider to help her with her bills, show her how to keep her bank account, take her to where she needed to go, to her doctor's appointments.
And it was hard for us, the whole family, to let her go and try to make it on her own.
Having never finished high school, Jamie enrolls in nearby Gaston College to study for her GED and start planning her future.
She had really came a long way. She was thriving, and she just seemed like she was really going down a good path.
She was doing great. She was just doing her everyday life. She was involved in church real heavy.
It's while attending church that Jamie discovers what she wants to do with her life.
There was a program there on Friday nights for addiction. Jamie had a friend that had gotten bad into drugs. It was someone that we knew since Jamie was a little girl. Jamie got close to her because she wanted to help her to get off drugs. And that's where that started. And then she started going to the church, getting an idea of how it works.
By 2007, everything in Jamie's life seems to be on track. And just when it looks like things can't get any better, she meets Ricky Dale Simons Jr.
She had got in an altercation with someone, and Ricky Jr. came to her defense.
And then he stepped in and saved her, you know, so that to her, well, he's my hero.
The son of her apartment building's maintenance man, Ricky Jr. seems just as crazy about Jamie as she is about him.
Jamie called me and told me she had a new boyfriend, and, you know, that they were planning on getting married.
Jamie sounded very happy at the time when she told me about her getting married. I was happy for her.
Jamie was just ecstatic over Ricky. I've not ever heard her speak of anyone else in that way.
But in early January 2007, Ricky is convicted of felony larceny. Because of a lengthy record of previous larceny charges, Ricky is sent away to prison for 15 months.
She'd said that he was in jail, and it really bothered me and disturbed me. And I asked her, I said, Jamie, you know, you really want to think about this? You know, you don't want to jump into this.
Ricky Jr. does have drug issues. If you go back and look at Ricky Jr. criminal record, possession of stolen goods, larceny, things like that, could use to buy the drugs with. That's their problem.
Despite her family's reservations, Jamie is resolute in her love for Ricky.
Nothing you could say or do to stop her. Don't say anything bad about him.
She wrote him every day for 15 months straight, every single day. And every time I visit her, you know, she'll be writing, and she have thousands and thousands of pieces of paper, you know, scattered everywhere. Because she wanted to be perfect, to send Ricky in jail.
Jamie spends most of the time waiting for Ricky Jr.'s return with his father, Rick Sr., and his girlfriend, Kim Sprenger.
When they were living all at the apartment complex, they were very close. They hung out a lot together. Jamie went over to the apartment a lot, and they would cook together.
Jamie mentioned that he would just take her places. It was Ricky Jr.'s father, and it was one day going to be her father-in-law. He looked after Jamie somewhat. He would run her to the store. Jamie did not have a driver's license. He would be there for her if she called him.
She came dependent on Rick when Rick Jr. was locked up. She came very dependent on him.
On the morning of April 8th, 2008, Jamie wakes up with a terrible stomachache. As the morning progresses, the pain in her stomach intensifies, and she calls her provider to drive her to the ER. At the hospital, she is diagnosed with the flu and sent home.
Jamie called me on April the 8th. I was at my sister's house. I talked to her. She said she wasn't feeling well, that they had gave her some medication at the hospital. Jamie sounded like she was kind of frustrated. She thought the hospital had gave her the wrong diagnosis.
Jamie spends the rest of the day in bed, but her stomachache only gets worse. Despite feeling so sick, Jamie still fulfills her commitment to take care of Kim Sprenger's dog. Kim has recently split up with Rick Sr.
Kim would bring her dog over for Jamie to babysit.
When Kim arrives in the early afternoon to pick up the dog, she finds Jamie sick in bed. After taking some time to make her more comfortable, she offers to drop off Jamie's prescription at the drugstore. Jamie never picks up the medication. And by the time night falls, Jamie is so sick, she decides she needs to go back to the hospital.
She had Rick to take her back to the hospital, and Jamie was impatient, and there was like a 3 or 4 hour wait, and so she decided she wasn't going to wait.
But when she calls Rick Sr. to pick her up, he does not answer his cell phone, so Jamie has to get another friend to bring her home.
I called her. I'm wanting to say it was close to midnight. She said that she had been throwing up. She told me that, you know, she kind of had the chills.
Jamie's mother offers to pick her up and bring her to her house an hour away. But Jamie is determined to keep an appointment she had the following morning, close to her apartment.
She said, no, I don't want to come spend the night over there because I have an appointment in the morning with the Social Security office that I can't miss. And, you know, we were like, well, call us, you know, if you need us. And, I love you. Bye. No. The last time I spoke to her.
After hanging up with her mother, Jamie continues to call friends and write emails, including a quick note to her friend Linda's son.
He was at Iraq at the time, and he just described to me that, you know, she wanted to know how he was doing. There was nothing in that email that would give him a hint that anything was wrong at all.
This is the last email Jamie sends before she disappears. Coming up, an ominous call from Jamie's provider sends her family into a panic.
Her provider calls me and says, I can't get her to the door and I can't get her on the phone.
After a childhood fraught with health issues, 22-year-old Jamie Fraley seemed to be on her way to having it all: love, independence, and a career she was passionate about. But on April 8th, 2008, she comes down with a horrible stomachache that sends her to the hospital twice.
Jamie was sick, but I believe she thought she would be better in the morning, and she wanted to make sure she made that appointment.
The appointment at the Social Security office represented another milestone in Jamie's progress.
Jamie's appointment for the Social Security was to see if money could be turned over to her, seeing that she was trying the independent living and that she could handle her own money.
When Jamie's family doesn't hear from her the morning of her appointment, they assume she's feeling better.
The next morning, I'm thinking Jamie's at the Social Security office.
We did not call Jamie the next day. It wasn't unusual to go a little while without talking to her.
On the morning of April 10th, Jamie's mother receives a troubling call.
Her provider, who was supposed to pick her up for her appointment, calls me and says, I went to pick Jamie up for her appointment yesterday, and I can't get her to the door and I can't get her on the phone. She waited a whole day to tell me this.
According to the provider, she had knocked repeatedly on Jamie's door, and after failing to get a response, eventually left.
She's like, well, what do you want me to do? I said, we're gonna call the police. Because she had been sick, you know, we're thinking, you know, she can't get up or be hurt. You know, she is bipolar. She has been sick.
The police send an officer to Jamie's apartment to do a welfare check and make sure Jamie isn't hurt.
We were contacted by Jamie's mother, Kim Fraley, advised that she hadn't spoken to Jamie possibly 2 days. Patrol units went out to the residence and checked her apartment. Did not see anything that seemed out of the ordinary.
Police make note of her bipolar disorder, but surmise that Jamie just stepped out for a bit and will show up later.
There was no sign of forced entry or anything, leaving individuals to believe that wherever she had gone willingly, and there was no signs of a struggle or anything that would indicate otherwise.
But despite the officer's claims that nothing looks amiss, Jamie's mother, aunt, and cousin decide to head to the apartment and look around for themselves.
We went to the apartment. The apartment was locked, but her house keys and purse were still sitting in the apartment. She had a habit of going outside, sticking her cell phone in her back pocket, if it was just to go over to the neighbors, something like that. You know, if she was just going somewhere shortly, you know, but it was unusual.
Next, the women make their way to the bedroom.
You knew that she had been sick on her stomach. It was everywhere.
After seeing just how sick Jamie was that night, her mother is even more alarmed by Jamie's absence.
I don't see Jamie walking in the middle of the night by herself, sick and throwing up. No, I don't see it.
And there are a few other subtle clues in the apartment that reinforce her mother's feeling that something isn't right.
At the top of her stairs, there was no shoelaces in her shoes. And that just, it seemed really, really weird. That was the shoes Jamie always wears, besides her flip-flops. Never known her to not wear laces in her shoes.
The women immediately call the police back.
We were contacted again by Jamie's family at that time. Patrol units went back out to the residence, checked her apartment again with her aunt. It didn't suggest that anything of foul play or foul nature took place.
They told us that she was an adult, she could go missing if she wanted to, and that she would probably return home.
While the police are searching the apartment, the women wait in the parking lot and continue to call Jamie's cell phone.
We tried to call her, but I didn't get an answer.
But finally, someone picks up. Unfortunately, the voice on the other end isn't Jamie's.
And a man answered it, and we're like, who are you, and why do you have her phone?
Coming up, investigators discover Jamie was keeping a secret.
What really got me was that Jamie knew and did not tell us.
Jamie Fraley hasn't been seen or heard from in 2 days. While the petite 22-year-old's apartment doesn't display any overt signs of foul play, her family is sure that something has happened to Jamie.
The day we went into Jamie's apartment and saw her pocketbook and keys, I knew something was wrong.
Her family has repeatedly tried to call her cell phone, with no luck. But on April 10th, 2008, someone finally picks up.
We kept calling her phone, and a man answered it. It's like, well, I'm the cable man. I was over here working on the cable lines, and I heard his phone ringing down on the ground, and I just picked it up. When I heard that, it's like you automatically know something's not right, you know, and I just fell down into the parking lot and started screaming.
An officer is immediately sent out to recover the phone.
The phone was found in the roadway, the north-south lane off of South New Hope. It was found in the middle of the roadway, scuffed up.
By all accounts, Jamie was never without her cell phone.
First thing I thought when her phone was found on the side of the road, it's like, that ain't Jamie. At one time, she did have 2 house phones and 2 cell phones, just so little Rick can call her from prison. That ain't like Jamie.
Speaking with family and friends, Jamie always had her cell phone with her, so it led us to believe that either she lost the phone, tossed the phone, or someone might have tossed the phone that was not Jamie.
3 days after Jamie is last seen, police conduct a full-scale search of the wooded area where Jamie's phone was found.
The area around the phone was searched multiple times. Canines have been used. Areas around the apartment complex have been searched, as well as bodies of water.
There was no trace of Jamie anywhere besides just her phone.
Officers also questioned neighbors to see if they had noticed anything wrong in the days leading up to her disappearance.
They gave me a general overview of Jamie, that she's a nice person, lived alone, that she didn't drive, that she required a ride when she went to go to places. We actually spoke to a neighbor who advised that they saw her walk into her residence around midnight, and that was the last person we have found to say that they saw Jamie alive. There's nothing that we've collected from friends, family, and neighbors that would suggest that anything else was wrong that night.
One thing everyone comments on is that Rick Simons Sr. and Jamie spent a lot of time together.
Well, according to the investigation, they were quite friendly. They lived 2 doors down from each other. She was dating Mr. Simons Sr.'s son, who was incarcerated at the time. And so the family connection was fairly obvious.
People said that Rick Simons Sr. helped Jamie a good bit with rides and things of that nature.
Investigators immediately ask Rick Sr. to come to the station for an interview.
In my conversation with Rick Sr., found him to be very cold, manipulative, didn't give much information, but he was cooperative in talking with us.
When he does a routine background check, Detective Bloom discovers that Rick Sr. has a violent criminal past.
Rick Sr. was an individual that's gotten in some trouble with the law through drug use, petty crimes. He was also charged with murder of a girlfriend years previous.
After serving just 6 years on a manslaughter conviction for strangling his ex-girlfriend to death, Rick Sr. had been released from prison for good behavior. But even after he gets out, he continues to be a regular presence at the police station.
Ricky Simons Sr. did have a long history of drug use and crimes such as larceny, burglaries, petty theft, that sort of thing. Drugs did have a large impact on his life, so he sought them out on a regular basis, and in order to support that type of activity, he had to be involved in some criminal activity.
I was surprised when I found out about Ricky Sr.'s background. I just wasn't aware of his drug use or his criminal background at all.
While her family may have been surprised, it appears that Jamie knew about Rick Sr.'s past.
About 8 or 9 months before Jamie disappeared is when I found out about Rick Sr. killing someone, about his past. And I didn't know whether to believe her or I just didn't know what to say to her. She seemed like she didn't want to believe it.